Hey, we are here. We are back with Death Unto Madness, your favorite Bernie Wheel show on the internet. Unless you're watching Croak Wizards, I guess. Just kidding. You can decide. Up to you, lovely viewer. Which is your favorite? Tell us in the comments. But we're back. We're quickly ramping towards the end of this show. Which is interesting because this will be the first Burning Wheel show I've ever properly finished. Lavender Shadows had a good, beginning, middle, end. It stands alone as its own thing, I think, all the way through. But there was so much sequel potential that it always felt like a shame not to come back to it. With Death and Madness, I feel like we'll get to the end of it and we'll be like, yep, that wrapped everything up really nicely. Either everyone will be dead or the world will be massively changed. Something major is going to happen by the end of this, I'm sure. But yeah, we're kind of moving into what I assume will be our last arc here. We'll see. It'll depend on a lot of factors. Many things could happen in Nema that would change the course of what this is going to look like. But in theory, what's going to happen is our characters are going to do stuff in Nema, and then they're going to go to Sinia and save the day. Right? That's in theory what's going to happen. It's possible that this session just makes everybody devolve into infighting and backstabbing, and everyone will attack each other. That's a possibility. We'll see. But let's jump into beliefs and instincts and whatnot. And I'm sure people will have to make up new ones, and we can have a conversation about any of those sort of things that need to be discussed. And then after we do that, I have a scene to start us off with before we jump into a proper scene with our characters. But let's go ahead and start as we usually do with Chad. If we need to talk through what Chad or what Alpheus wants to do, we can do that. At the very least, I think your first belief probably stays the same, right? Your belief about Ben.
Yeah. So where are we at currently?
Yeah. So as a reminder for you, Alpheus, Alpheus just made his way from Kyrides, and you are arriving in Nema. So this is another one of the city-states. They are kind of related to, they're more like Egyptian, kind of North African in flavor. Mm-hmm. They have enchanting as their magic system. And Avro has been there. Avro and Keladon have both been there, as far as you know. Actually, you only know that Keladon is there. That's technically what you know. He went there to hire mercenaries. And so you're going there with Spiridon because you didn't get Kyrides to give you an army. So you're like, okay, Spiridon, Grandpa, let's go to Nema and get an army that way. And because, a famous general isn't as useful without an army to give orders. Yeah, exactly. So that is the plan with you. But I mean, feel free to add in beliefs here that you that Alpheus as a character doesn't know yet per se, right? Like we know that certain things are going to happen in this session, such as reuniting with Avra, and Keladon and whatnot. So whether or not Alpheus knows for sure whether or not he's going to find them, we can make a belief or two about either of those characters if we want to, depending on what Alpheus would think.
I feel like this is hard. So I think basically I need to find Keladon, right? I think that so.
Yeah, I mean, because Avra is a player character and you can find player characters for free, and Keladon is with Avra, I don't think you need to make a belief about finding Keladon. Like, that's just a given. That's going to happen. So honestly, I think your second belief can probably stay as it is. I feel like we could probably, if things go well, you could probably work on that this session.
Okay, so
then, yeah, I would say third belief maybe would be something about.
I mean, what do we expect to happen next? Like what?
So from Alpheus' perspective, from Alpheus' perspective, the plan is to go to Nema, hire an army, and then go to Sinia. So in theory, Keladon came here to do that. You don't know if he succeeded, but Alpheus as a character will pretty quickly find this out as soon as he gets to Nema.
Can I just have a belief about getting back to Sinia?
Sure. Yeah.
And finding out what the status of the country is, basically.
Sure, yeah. I'm trying to think of how to word that, because I don't know if Avra would keep any, or Caledon would keep anything they know from you. So I'm thinking maybe making the belief about like leaving Nima more than anything else, right? Like, let's make sure we're on a boat to Nima by the end of the session, or to Sinia.
In the last session, Avra figured out that
Alpheus was responsible for her father's death.
Her father died.
Oh, okay.
So she might. I haven't really worked out exactly how she's going to treat Alpheus yet, but there's that, which of course Alpheus doesn't know. But
yes, so I would like to, I think we should have that conversation, like, as players right now, and write beliefs based on what we decide. I'm not as interested in only writing the beliefs that are the characters for sure in this moment know. We can project ahead to what we know is going to happen. So, do you know, Carl? We should probably maybe talk about this. What would Avra do immediately upon seeing Alpheus? I mean, he's going to show up with the general, which you knew was part of the plan, right? So at the very least, you're going to be like, okay, he's actually still going through with the plan, but you know this thing about.
Yeah,
how did we kill him? Did we poison him?
No, you got into the palace to speak to the king about something important, and Titan came in as your retainer.
Yeah.
So you got him into the palace, and then he snuck around and killed the king.
When he was sleeping, or I don't remember how he died.
Yeah, he was asleep. Yep.
Okay.
He woke up, like he got stabbed and then woke up, and then they had a tussle. But yeah.
I think as of now, Avra's probably just going to be like highly suspicious of Alpheus. Like she's going to be like, I'm going to hold this information close to my chest until, like, if there's something I can do with it, or a reason I actually need to do anything about it. Like, obviously she's upset, but trying to separate, like, the...
Bless you.
Some violent sneezes over there from my child.
Trying to separate the, like, saving Sinia goal from just her own revenge.
Sure. The question will be, when Maya shows up, whether or not she gets you on board with her, let's kick Alpheus out of everything.
I am going to get everybody on my side. You watch.
Yeah. Should Alpheus already be assuming that that Maya's like pissed off at him because that zombie guy came?
Yeah, I think so. Like, at the very least, you know that she sent that guy after you, after Ben specifically.
So can I make it? I want my belief to be about, like, convincing her that I wasn't trying to do anything bad.
Convincing Maya?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Because I don't think, like, Avra, anybody knowing that I had something to do with the king dying a long time ago, like, that's not even on Alpheus's, like, radar.
Sure.
Because it's been, like, he's just
the more important thing
gotten away with it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Because, I mean, first half of the session, I think we'll have Avra and Alpheus be able to talk before Joser and Maya show up. But as soon as Maya shows up, things are going to escalate quickly on that front. So that makes sense. So yeah, once you finish writing up that third one, we'll go ahead and just read off everything for Alpheus. Yeah, it's funny. I forgot that Maya and Avra were actually angry about him about two separate things. Maya's probably angry at him about both now that she knows, but...
Oh, she knows too?
Yeah.
They probably just think I'm some evil guy, dude.
Because Malekith was working with you to do that, right? And so he ended up telling Maya about that, so...
Well, she should be mad at him.
Oh, I was.
She is, yes. That was, yeah.
Can I just leave it like that for now? I don't know how else I want to phrase it.
Go ahead and click off of it because it doesn't update.
Oh, there.
Let's see. Yep, yeah, that seems fine to me.
Cool.
Yeah, so go ahead and read beliefs, instincts, and traits, and we'll get started.
All right, for Alpheus, my beliefs are: I feel terrible for getting Ben kidnapped. and I will do everything I can to keep him safe and return him to his mother and father and establish him as king.
Mhm.
Spiridon needs an army to command. I will work with Celadon to raise one. Maya sent that assassin after us, so I will do my best to convince her that I would never try to get Ben hurt.
Sounds good.
My instincts are always try to talk my way out of trouble, always treat others of the lower classes with respect, and always ensure that those I trust are lifted up. And traits too?
Yeah.
Excuse me. Cramped hands, pragmatic, impulsive, catalyst, stubborn, driven, and handshaker.
Yeah, mainly I want to read traits because people have added some traits,
Mhm.
right? We got some at the end of our last arc here, so I think we only added handshaker, or do we add stubborn too last time? Did we?
I think it was catalyst, right?
Yeah.
Catalyst we got at the beginning of the season.
Oh, okay.
But then recently we just voted on stubborn.
How
and
does
handshaker.
stubborn work? How do I use
So stubborn is specifically like you can get fate points for it for being stubborn, like just like any trait. But it also has a when you're in a duel of wits, like you were with Spiridon, you get automatic +2 dice to your body argument roll.
Okay.
To like.
And then
make your argument.
handshaker I can only use when shaking hands or
Yeah, so
doing
it's a
some
call on for either oratory or persuasion, depending on how you're using it, right? When shaking hands is involved in the roll at some point, right?
Cool.
All right.
Yeah,
cool.
when you've shown proper etiquette.
Yes, exactly. It's such a great trait for Alpheus. All right, Joser. I assume you have your stuff squared away.
Yeah, I think so. There's a couple of extra things that might happen during the session that I will end up wishing I'd made beliefs about. I at least have some. So, Hang on. In fact, I'm just going to move this to my other screen so I'm not looking off to the side all the time. Yes, so my beliefs are I've been marked by my divine station and must live up to the charge given me. So I will remove the curse on Avra.
Ah, yes, okay.
My father's purposes are of greater import than my own safety. I will convince Ben Asher of the king's responsibilities. My light must be increased if I am to pierce the coming darkness. I will consult the Irida and refresh my knowledge of the truth.
Okay. Let's talk about these before we move on. So removing the curse from Avra, you're talking about like she's plagued with visions and dreams and stuff.
Not even necessarily that one. I'm more thinking the one I definitely know about right now. If I find out about the other one, then that too probably, or at least like
what curse are you
curing
thinking
it a bit. Baroness.
Oh, right. Yeah. Because everyone in Sinia got that.
I forgot about that. I was like, wait.
Yeah. I totally forgot about that.
Yep. And Joseph was like at least part of trying to help a bunch of the pregnant people when they came over to Setcast. Okay. So that's something that's on his mind for especially if they're engaged for the last
Yep. And then for
months.
that second one, I'll convince Ben Asher of the king's responsibilities. Or what do you give me some more information as to what that means for Joser?
Yeah, so for Joser that means one, to do with the Irida. He sees Ben as like the actual heir
if
to
he's
that.
The next prophet king, yeah.
And so he needs to know the responsibilities. He needs to know that he's not meant to be pushed around. He needs to like consider things on a deeper level of, did my mum tell me to do this? And especially things like, okay, when it gets down to it, are you the kind of person who needs to show mercy or give a pardon when it needs to be done? Possibly like with at least something in mind towards Alpheus's situation of like, even if Maya and Avra are like, execute that guy, you need to have your own opinion about whether his efforts have been worthy of being.
I never said I wanted him
redeemed?
Executed. I just want him punished for his crimes.
Mm-hmm. Yes, well, pardoning will get out of those as well.
Cool. Yeah, no, that sounds great. I just want to make sure I knew the context of what you're thinking.
Yep. Instincts are always pray before entering a social situation. Going back to that one. If Thalia is addressed negatively, then I ready my knife. And if someone would be killed in my presence, then I bring mercy.
And by that, I assume you mean you're going to try to resurrect them with faith?
More like do the intercession thing.
Yeah.
And just pluck them out of danger completely. Traits are rabble rouser, well-traveled, cunning, and strange. Die traits are faithful, manhunter, weather sense, believer, vested, chosen one, force of nature, spirit familiar, and my new one for 7 faith is luminescent scars, which makes my lightning scars glow equivalent to a candle. And then call-ons of revered and resigned to death.
Yes. Very good ones for Joser. I like it. All right, Maya. You muted.
Okay, you're gonna have to help me out here.
Yep.
Okay, my first belief, I'll do whatever it takes to elevate my son to the place of prophet king. Obviously, like, I don't think it's interesting to like have us go on a search to find them. So, because
you're gonna find them automatically. Yep.
Yeah. So I don't really know what I should do to like work on this belief at this time.
It could be as simple as just helping the general mission of we need to get to Sinia, and these are the steps to get there, right? So the next step for that is hire the army and
I was gonna put that with my husband my belief of my husband needs to stay safe. Like I will assist in getting the army to Sinia or something along those lines. So for Ben, I don't know. I was thinking something along the lines of like I will impart some wisdom to him or something like that, or like I will teach him something, to make him a better king.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you could probably have a belief parallel to Joser's, right? Where he's going to be like, here's the king's responsibilities. And Maya's going to be like, here's what you need to do to, you're both going to have different ideas about what that means. I like that. Let's make it something along those lines where it's like, I'll do whatever it takes to elevate my son to the place of prophet king.
Well,
and I'm not sure exactly what
teach him a skill necessary to be a wise
that
king.
Seems,
I don't know.
The way that's worded makes it seem more long term. I'm thinking like just whatever the thing that Joser's going to do here, it's going to be Maya like countering or twisting it to what she wants it to be. Because I think Joser, specifically based on what he just said, right, wants to make sure that Alpheus,
I don't know why you've never even met him before.
At the very least, that Ben makes his own decisions, and as Josh said, not just do what your mom tells you to do, right? Whereas you're probably going to be like, do what your mom tells you to do, right?
And
obviously Maya wouldn't word it like that, but that seems to be what she wants, right?
Just so in the case of Alpheus,
right. So maybe something like, I'll do whatever it takes to elevate my son to the place of prophet king. I will convince him that my methods are the road to kingship. It's vague enough that it can mean multiple different things depending on how the conversation goes, but generally the idea is make sure that Ben will do what you want on the road to kingship because you believe that your road, the methods you would use are the correct ones, right?
Obviously, I'm his mom.
Exactly.
My second belief, I will learn more about the gods to fill in the missing pieces. I will learn more about Indu. I think I did that last session.
I think you did. Yeah.
So, what else? What I'm trying to think
if you're still interested
direction.
on the gods, we could do. There's still technically the one enchanting goddess left. That's like keeping, and you're going to be in Nema, so that might matter, right?
Okay.
If she dies, then enchanting stops working.
The enchantress. What's her name? Do I know her name?
I'm trying to remember. It's Hopsef and
Ness-Anhur.
Ness-Anhur. Yeah, exactly. I'll type it in chat.
All right, thanks. Okay, third belief.
Ignore that. Extraneous capital.
Third belief. Alpheus is a traitor. I will ensure he is never welcome back in Sinia. It's finally happening, guys.
It's finally happening.
And then I will. My husband needs to stay safe. I will help the efforts to bring the army to Sinia.
Yep, perfect.
And then my instincts, I'm gonna need help with the third one as well, because my third one just never was relevant. So
yep.
I deleted it. My first one is I will always put my family first, no matter what, and never back down from a challenge.
Yeah, what is something else that Maya does instinctually without thinking about it? First, never back down from a challenge.
I mean, I feel like she tends to, like, especially like when Joser and Malekith are talking, she tends to go more quiet. Like, so people of authority, she tends to quiet herself and do more behind.
Yeah, Maya definitely has a vibe of like she's the behind the scenes person in most of those relationships. So it could either be something as simple as that, as what you were just saying, right? Like when people of authority are speaking, you know, I'll be respectful, be quiet or something. Or it could be more like broad of like always be doing stuff behind the scenes, some other way of wording that.
Okay. Yeah, always.
Always be working
always be helpful behind the scenes, or I don't know, like
always be helping from behind the scenes is probably a good way of wording that. Because we know who the people that you would want to help, but anytime that would come up, so that would allow you to, if we came across a situation where you're like, oh, Maya would have been doing background work this whole time to set up this role or whatever, we could say, okay, cool, you have an instinct about that. Let's make that role for the flashback sort of thing.
Cool. Okay, and my traits are colorful, colorful, religious, ambitious, thick-skinned, mark of privilege, bastard, loyal, power behind the throne, glib, and familiar face.
Now, I know Josh mentioned scheming again, since Maya changed her, like it sounded like she was going to be more of a goody-goody, but then the last session that we did with Maya actually kind of turned that on its head, and it seems like that's actually not the case. Let me find scheming again, and we'll just read it off and see if it fits your perception of the character right now.
I don't know. I think that, just because she has a belief about Alpheus doesn't necessarily make her like a schemer.
No, yeah,
like,
it wasn't the belief. It was your whole conversation you had with Mahava last time. It was very much like, I will do whatever is necessary. Like I'm very pragmatic. I'm going to do whatever I need to do the stuff I need to accomplish.
I don't think that makes her scheming though.
Let's read it.
Right.
Scheming characters are always plotting and planning. It doesn't even have to be for their benefit or game. Sometimes they plot and plan to see their cleverness at work. Scheming allows the player to add +1 die to his body of argument in a duel of wits. Yeah, I suppose it is true about Maya that she doesn't just scheme to scheme.
Right. That's what I mean.
She's always scheming with a purpose in mind. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't think, because when I think of scheming, I think like somebody who's just like, oh, I
Primo
just want
worm tongue.
Yeah, and like that doesn't seem like this is her. She's just like, based on her last session, she's just like, I'll do whatever it takes to keep my family safe.
That's fair.
That's her whole thing,
I just know Josh brought that up, and
I don't think she really has a plan to do that. She's just like, I will do it when things come up.
I can still see Maya getting that trait if she goes far enough down this road. If she goes down this road and Ben becomes king, but Maya's pulling the strings, right? And like whatever mom says goes. If that's how this ends up, I could see Maya getting that trait like as one of the last things we do with her, and then she lives out the rest of her days as the queen regent from behind the scenes, right, ruling everything. But we're not there yet. All right, cool. So let's do Avra.
I actually have to grab the laptop, and I don't even know if it's charged.
No problemo. Let's take a look at what she has right now, belief-wise. She has, I believe that with the help of the Irida, I can stop what is coming. I will consult it to discover our next step. Is that still what you would like to do this time?
Probably.
I do have an idea along those lines,
okay.
So I think that's fine to keep. I believe Celadon is meant to be my partner in life. I will assist him with his work in Nima. Do you still want to do that? I mean, that's going to be relevant this session because you're going to try to hire people and stuff. Okay. And then I believe a lady is not noble without a bird on her arm. I will win over Balthazar. This might be the one that it depends on. I don't know if we're going to have time for bird stuff this session based on everything that's going to happen.
Yeah.
So this might be the one that we put on the back burner and replace this with a belief about like Maya or Alpheus. based on what Avra thinks about that whole situation?
Yeah. I think she'll probably just say, I believe Alpheus's actions are dangerous. I will keep an eye on him.
Sure.
How did I become the bad guy?
Alpheus, you became the bad guy pretty early on.
He doesn't even mean dangerous in the sense of like he's trying to do bad things, but just like
it just happens to.
There's clearly like things he's involved in that have not ended well.
Yeah.
He
So
saw your
Alpheus
catalyst trait and thought, ooh.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. What are you talking about? Avra doesn't have aura reading. So I believe Alpheus's actions are dangerous. You said I will keep an eye on him. What do we? I just want to make sure you have a possibility of like fulfilling it in some way. What are you thinking that means?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Because you could also just have it be I will determine whether or not he could be trusted.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be a lot of conversation swirling around that this session, I'm sure. So at some place we can just have, it's a simple doctrine roll with the Irida, right? To do some astrology stuff, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
To get an answer to that question, if you come to it. All right, cool. So do you have that up now or no?
I am trying to log in.
I'll get it. I will just read off your instincts and stuff. So we have, if I have a task beyond my specialty, then I seek the advice of someone more competent. If I have a question, then I will consult answers from the Irida. If I meet a bird, then I will seek to determine its character. Any of those you want to change, or? It's probably still seem relevant. Maybe the bird one, but I don't know.
The bird one's definitely less relevant now.
Because technically you're working on this thing with Balthazar, and in theory, you don't necessarily need to meet a new bird if this works out. So we could probably change that one if you wanted to.
Yeah, I just want to change it too.
Yeah. See, task beyond specialty. Have a question. Yeah, I'm not sure what else Avra does instinctually.
I think maybe based on her experiences with the mercenary guild that we just got away from, I think maybe she'd have a new instinct of when facing someone that clearly knows more than I do, I will hold the information I have close to my chest. I'm trying to think of specifically mechanically how that would work out.
You could just say, always keep my secrets.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, especially because apparently, you picked up an amulet and a demon found out a bunch of stuff from your mind. So that probably, yeah. Okay, cool. So then we have traits. Your grace, formalist, religious, competitive, careful, birdie talk, mark of privilege, dreamer, practice precision, affinity for birds, and driven. Very fun. I finished reading them off right as you get on Roll20. Okay, so I think we're going to start with a scene. So we see the end of the last session being the one that I did solo, where we saw what's happening with Cyrillus and Ophelia and Isidore out in Carusia. So I'm not going to repeat everything that happened there necessarily, but we do see the end of that session, which is Cyrillus and his hatred cult storming Ophelia's palace. They managed to turn the tide into in their favor, and they are now in control of Sinia. We see multiple places burning in Sinia. So this is definitely the worst outcome of the two of which two could have won that conflict, because Cyrillus wants to just kill everyone and burn it all to the ground. So this does escalate Sinia's downfall. But we see this. Cyrillus makes his way into the gardens where Ophelia does a lot of her meditating, and Ophelia is there with Zoe, the herbalist that she got like poisons and the black orchid stuff from way in the past. And I won't be able to like repeat the exact conversation I already did in that session again, but basically the conversation happens, and it's revealed that not only is Zoe also a god, she's a goddess, secretly one of the pantheon who did not die fully, but died partially, right, and became a person. And yeah, the Zoe, this older Jagati woman, this gardener, right? She reveals that she has been working not with Ophelia this whole time, but actually against her for the other god of the sun. As a reminder, there are two suns in this world. The smaller sun, there's a god who's in charge of that named Dardanus. Apparently, he has been doing some things behind the scenes, and Zoe's been working with him and Cyrillus to kind of change some things. Basically, Ophelia's usefulness has come to an end, and so has the dead god cult. Their usefulness has come to an end. The jinn have been killed, right? All the animal demons have been murdered and sent back to be giant rock golems, because now we don't need these animals. We need soldiers. So let's kill these animals and send them back, and now they can be rock golems in our army. And Cyrillus is all down with this. Cyrillus is, going along with the whims of this urge that he had in his head, and now we know it's this god Dardanus, who is there's two sides to the evil in this world. One is death, and one is madness. Dardanus represents the madness side of the equation, and Cyrillus goes up to Ophelia and stabs her through the chest. He did a mortal wound to Ophelia, and we just see her die, right? We see this spear stick her through like a stuck pig. Cyrillus and Zoe are just over her body, watching her lifeblood ebb out onto the soil of the garden. And we see the light leave Ophelia's eyes. And then it's as if Ophelia's underwater. And this is not creepy corruption Ophelia anymore. This is suddenly true Ophelia, right? The clever young woman who started a cult all these years ago. And she is underwater, and she has just been plunged into water, right? We see this shot, this dark shot. There's maybe just a little bit of like a kind of sickly white green light that is illuminating this, almost as if it's a moon, but we know it's actually the second star. Wherever this is, whether or not it's real or imagined, it's towards the dark side, if we're imagining where this is. And she plunges into the water, and we see this just moment of just like shock, like she's been plunged into ice water, and suddenly the fog that was filling her brain from the eating the meat and becoming a cannibal, the whole hatred cult thing that happened to her, all of her corruption, just fades away in an instant as she's plunged into this cold water, and she struggles for a moment to like orient herself, and then she tries to swim to the surface, and for a moment it's as if the top of the water is glass, and she starts pounding against the top of the water. And then we see a hand kind of reach through, crack through what must seem like ice to us. And it's a young man's hand, and he reaches, grabs her, and then pulls her up out of the water. And we kind of do a hard cut, and she is, coughing and sputtering on a shore of black sand. And next to her is who we know to be, if you've watched that episode, her son, who died so long ago, Philip. And Philip is, he's like 15 now. He never got to be this age when he was alive, but that's kind of like what either she's visualizing him as or he appears as for some magical reason. You're not sure, but we do know this is the ghost of Philip. And he has kind of like these raven black wings, almost as if he's like a fallen angel or something. And he stands there as Ophelia kind of gets a hold of herself. And, she coughs, sputters, spits out some water, probably vomits out some water and then looks up and then just says, "Where am I? What happened?" And Philip says, "You died, Mother. You're here. You did it." And she frowns, as if she had forgotten that was like her goal in the first place. She clung to life and power and control back in Sinia, and now she finally got what she wanted, but it's a shock to her. And she just says, "What? They just used me and gave up? What about our plans? What about our goals?" And Philip says, he seems sad. He says, actually, I have a picture of Philip for the stream. So that's what he looks like. Curly brown hair, and youthful face. He says, Things are changing, Mother. The goals of Tartuit are changing. You failed. Seraphim failed. It wasn't happening fast enough. Things weren't progressing quickly enough, so they've changed strategies. Dardanus is in charge now. Madness is in charge now. A legion of monstrosities is marching across the world, and everything will burn. And Ophelia just frowns. She says, "What about our plans? The gods were going to return. They were going to save us. They were going to give me..." The gods were supposed to be reborn. What happens to them now? Philip says, "There is no resurrection coming, Mother. The only thing that awaits us now is the void. I am sorry. I don't know what to do. You're stuck here, just like all of us. This place traps things like us. The spiritual is caught like a fly in a web. And Ophelia has this like weird, like she has a moment of just like worldview change and then anger and then like denial. And she just starts shaking her head. She's like, no, this is not what I wanted. I wanted everything to be over. I wanted things to be set right. I wanted to be with you. But you're saying there is no future. Cyrillus and what he wants is going to be our future. That madness in my head. That desire for blood. That is not what I wanted. And she stands up. She's like probably wearing like just like a dark dress. That is not what I wanted. That is not how this story ends. And she looks up and like into some middle distance and then looks back at her son and she says, we have work to do. And I think we get a hard cut from that moment. And we get a moment where like it's unclear whether or not Ophelia's just remembering her death again. Like we have a weird flashback back to that same moment where Cyril stabbed her. And we're not entirely sure if this is her remembering it or what. And then we hear like a scream, the same scream that kind of a scream that never happened in the scene we just saw, but it's a scream. We see Ophelia like come up out of the water and just scream like a blood-curdling scream. And then we cut to Avra, and Avra's waking up. And you didn't see that whole sequence, Avra, but you did see Ophelia die and then plunge into cold water and then surface and scream. And that's the only image you got. Yeah, so you jolt awake, you're like, you have a cold sweat, and you just saw Ophelia, like, you don't know if it's a vision, like, of the future or the past or what, like, you don't know what's going on, but you see Ophelia die, be plunged into some cold water, and then surface and, like, scream a blood-curdling scream, and that scream is what jolts you awake. So, whether or not Avra, like, does anything about it in the immediate, I think the first thing that happens is Caledon looks over and he was like at a desk or something, like writing up something, and he just looks over. He's like, Avra, are you okay? And, like, steps over.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. So she saw Ophelia be stabbed.
Yep.
And then obviously the assumption is she died, but then she saw her come back up.
Yeah, it was like a weird, you're not entirely sure what the image means. There's obviously some sort of symbolism that's involved there, but I don't, like, unless Avra makes a roll, like, I don't think she can decipher it innately. Yeah.
But I could make a roll.
Indeed, yes. Do we just see, like, Avra immediately go to the Irida and just, like, start?
Probably, yeah.
Cool. So, doctrine, I think, is what we've been doing for this, right? So what is your intent exactly? To decipher the symbolism of that vision?
Yeah, mainly just to figure out, like, is Ophelia actually dead? Did she just almost die? Like, what actually happened there?
I'm thinking Ob 3 for doctrine.
Okay.
So you can fork in heraldry like usual. And read, because you're obviously using the Irida. Hey, nice. That was a good roll. Yeah, so Avra, you read a passage in the Irida that basically says something along the lines of, it's a passage you've come to before, and you weren't sure how to view it when you read it the first time. It kind of gave you like a weird feeling, but it's a passage about two princesses. And it reads very similar to the story that we got from the like old man around a campfire at the very beginning of Death Unto Madness, like the first scene we got was like this old man telling a story around a campfire to some kids. And he said something along the lines of, this is the story of two princesses, and the people around them and what they would accomplish, and they would do great things. And it reads like a snippet of a fairy tale, this passage of the Irida that you're reading. And before it was like, ooh, that's kind of weird. Two princesses, that does sound like me and Ophelia, but I don't really like that. I don't really know what this means. And so you moved on from it. This passage now seems to indicate to you that, like, in a way that, like, you couldn't accept before because of what you knew about what Ophelia had become, but now you can accept because you know that she's died and somehow been cleansed in a weird way, right? Like, all the things that had happened to her because of her corruption and her, the stuff that had happened with Cyrillus and the madness that had affected everybody, it had continued to deform her and derange her. But now, in death, she has clarity again. And this passage basically is saying, Avra and Ophelia will save the world. Right? Like, the two sisters will finally reunite after their long struggle of, like, will they trust each other? Will they not? Like, there's implications of that whole journey. But basically, it's like, you need, like, Ophelia is going to reach out to you, or you're going to have to reach out to Ophelia. She is dead right now on the other side of the planet. But, this is your next thing you need to do, is, like, somehow make that spiritual connection between the two of you, and almost as if she's going to be a spy in death, right? For, like, what's happening in the underworld right now, sort of a thing. So again, you don't have no idea how that's going to be accomplished, but, like, that's what you're reading.
Okay. Yeah, she just looks up from the book and looks at Celadon and just says, we need Ophelia.
Yeah, and I think we maybe just cut from the conversation there, right? Yeah. And he's obviously confused, and you talked through it and stuff like that after that. But that's a good moment to just end that scene on. Mm-hmm. Cool. So then I think we cut to Alpheus, right? Alpheus is pulling into the dock at Nema, and Spiridon is there, Ben is there, and Knossos is there, as well as the honor guard that Spiridon has taken with him, his soldiers. And we have normal what's the word? Customs and whatnot that happens when you go to a new city, but we can skip through all of that stuff. And you've arrived in Nema. What is your plan, Alpheus? Is it just to immediately go find Celadon?
I mean, there's not much else to do here, is there?
Yeah. Basically, your steps would be find Celadon. If he's not here, if you, like, confirm that he has, like, gone here and left or something, then it would be to, like, okay, I guess we have to work on our own to find an army.
So would I just say I want to try to find Avra?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Because Avra is a player character, we know that you can just find her automatically. You don't have to roll for it. And so I think the assumption is Alpheus gets off the ship, and if he goes looking for Celadon, he finds both Celadon and Avra. Without a roll.
So I'll do that.
Sure. Yeah, sounds good. I guess, yeah, I mean, Avra and Celadon have been, like, holding up at a safe house or something right now. So I think you just, some informant or someone, right, tells you, this is where Celadon has been staying. He has this apartment in his name, like, here, go to this address. And, Alpheus, you just, like, show up at the door with your entire entourage in tow and knock, or what?
Yeah, I mean, is that going to scare them? No, we just go find them and figure out where they got with their task.
Yeah, sounds good. You guys get a knock at the door, Avra and Celadon, right? You've just finished your conversation about Ophelia. And you get a knock at the door, and the thing is, like, you guys were, like, running from this mercenary guild, so there's probably a moment of, like, tense, like, uh-oh, did they just find us? Like, and then Celadon seems to be like, I don't think the Brass League would knock. And he, like, takes a couple steps toward the door and just says, "Who's there?"
That's Celadon saying that?
Yeah.
It's Alpheus and some others.
Yeah, he frowns and then turns to you, Avra. So the only thing that would stop this, like him from opening the door right now, is if you would say anything. Alpheus did say, "It's me and others," which is a slightly a suspicious statement given your knowledge about him now. But would Avra be hesitant at all?
I think she'd have one moment of pause and then she'd just nod to Celadon.
Okay.
But kind of one of those nods that says a lot where basically she's making clear this is okay, but you're going to handle most of the talking here because I'm going to kind of hang back and figure out what, if anything, we need to do about Alpheus.
Okay, yeah. So Avra just starts staring at Alpheus like a hawk as soon as he walks in. Do you just walk in by yourself, or does Spiridon walk in with you?
Yeah, probably Spiridon and Ben, right?
And Ben, yeah. And I think the rest of them just stay out and guard the door or whatever, right?
Yeah. We don't need all the soldiers in there.
Exactly, yeah. And I don't think the apartment could fit all of them either.
Yeah.
So. Okay, yeah. So Avra, you see Alpheus, Ben Asher, Maya's kid, and a tall, muscular-looking older man in Kyrodesian clothing. But yeah, I guess you said Celadon's going to do the talking. So Celadon just says, Alpheus, you did it? We thought you... Avra told me that you...
What'd you expect, Celadon? Of course I did it.
I'm sorry I ever doubted you, my friend. This is the man, General Spiridon himself.
Well, we did almost die a couple times, but we did get him to help us.
Knowing you, I believe it. And then he turns to Spiridon. It is an honor to meet you, sir. My lord, or whatever the official title will be, right? General probably is actually what he says. And Spiridon just nods curtly and then says, so do I have an army or not? And Celadon pauses, says, about that, we're having a few issues. And then looks to you, Alpheus.
What issues?
Well, it's kind of hard to hire an army when you can't guarantee that they'll actually be paid, or that we'll win, or that I'm telling the truth. So, yeah. I think we overestimated the situation here.
Do we have money, out of character?
So Spiridon would have some money, and you guys have whatever your resources would be, but the main issue is that you don't have Sinia's money. So if you get Sinia back, right, then that's fine. You can pay them from the treasuries, but
yeah, but how would we do that?
Yeah, exactly. You have to. The big issue right now is you have
we
to
need a lot
be able to pay them up front, at least some of it, right? So, yeah, Celadon has resources of 2. He's currently taxed by 1, unfortunately.
Doesn't Malekith have money?
Malekith does have money, but he's not here.
We should have got money from him in the beginning.
Technically, we can have Joser and Maya have gotten some money from Malekith. That's a thing that we could do. They would have thought of that.
Well, there has to be a solution, right? Otherwise, we lose.
At the very least, Alpheus could just work his magic, right? Because I think one of the things you were considering, if Celadon hadn't gotten an army yet, you were considering just using Spiridon's reputation to try to get an army on your side, right?
Technically, if I'm allowed to maintain my access to Sinia Hope Limited, then we do have a little bit of fund.
That's true. Yeah.
Not thousands of cash die, but a small fund.
Yeah, so Alpheus could promise whatever and make a roll, or he could try to get some actual money together as an upfront payment and then make a roll, which would be easier.
Well, how do I even communicate with these mercenaries? How would that even happen? I just tell Celadon, take me to them.
Yeah, basically you and Celadon need to figure out right now who to go to at this point, right? So Celadon has been, and he probably relays this to you now, right? He's been to a bunch of the different. So the way NEMA works, right, is it is a meritocracy. No, not meritocracy. What's the plutocracy? Right, it's just a bunch of whoever has the most money. That's who's in charge. So there's like a kind of a rotating nobility. Whoever has the most ducats gets to be like on the council or whatever that rules NEMA. And so all of these nobles, right, who rule the city are also double as merchants and also have their own private mercenary armies. Those are the ones that you would mainly have to those are the main mercenary companies that exist that could be brought to bear against Sinia. Celadon did go to the one mercenary company who's not tied to an existing government entity, and that's the Brass League, but they ended up being in league with demons. So that's not really an option at this point. So basically, Celadon says, like, we could make a plea in general to the mercenaries of the city and be like, whoever wants to come and like make a new contract with us, you can, or you could go to one particular noble lord and try to convince him to
here's what I think we should do. I think, well, you tell me if it's viable. So I would like to try to find somebody on this council, take Spirit on with me, and then try to persuade him to support us, and then I'm assuming he could throw his weight around and get mercenaries to help us that are in league with the nobles.
It seems like a typical Alpheus plan to be like, take me to the most important person and I'll talk to him and we'll figure all of this out, right?
I feel like that's exactly what he would try to do. Because that makes sense. Alpheus has never had any anything. He has nothing. He just has his mouth. Can't do anything else. Okay, so I say, yes, money is a problem. Who do you know who's in charge here? Like, who tells these nobles what they should and shouldn't do? Is someone like that around?
Yeah. I think he says, I'm trying to generate a name for this dude. Some of these are funny. Let's say this guy's name is Tammuz. I'm not sure how you'd actually pronounce that. That's actually it's a biblical name. Oh, probably has pronunciation.
Does Celadon know where he is?
Yeah, so this would be the guy who's like at the center of the city or whatever. Let's see if look at the map of NEMA here. What's the yes, the citizens district. So basically, I think everyone who is on this council is called a citizen, right? And everyone is a citizen. And anyone who's like a legal citizen is called the citizen. There is no quote unquote rankings, but it's just considered like if you have the money, that's why you're important. So this person would probably be considered the first citizen, right? Tammuz, the first citizen. And he is probably the guy who is in charge of running the Nell, which is this big fortress right at the harbor here. So he has like the biggest mercenary company. He has the most money. He's considered the most important. And I think like Celadon says, I went to him. or I sent a letter to him at one point. I tried to play the middle game and get some of the important, but not like all like the most important people to like help us, because I thought that would be the best play. I sent a letter to Tammuz as soon as I got desperate enough to like try anyone, and he rejected me out of hand. He didn't even let me have a meeting with him. But yeah, with Spiridon's reputation, it's possible we could get a meeting.
So what do we know about this guy, Celadon? What is he?
It's a good question.
Do you know anything? Okay. For Celadon?
He knows as much. Either of you. He knows as much as I've already said, right? He's called the first citizen. He's the most important guy. He has like the largest mercenary company, the most money. He's in charge of running this fortress that's supposed to protect the city of Nema, right? Because it's like surrounded on 3 sides by mountains and stuff. So only the harbor is like needs to be protected. And so they have this big fortress with like ballistas and Greek fire and all that stuff, right? So I'll probably make Celadon make a noble wise test. Do you have noble wise yourself? Because you could help him.
Sorry, I was listening to my mom talk.
You're good. Celadon has noble wise, which is probably what he would be rolling here.
Okay.
But if you have like either that skill or a similar skill, you could help him with. You can give him a dice.
Let's find out.
Avra, you could give Celadon a noble wise die.
Oh yeah, I mean, does Avra have anything to say, or is she just deferring?
Yeah, I mean, Avra's been just like staring daggers into you, Alpheus. Right? She's just been like watching to see how you're reacting. I don't know. Did you have anything else to tell us about Avra?
Do I think Avra's like my friend, or I really don't remember a lot of the stuff we did.
You've always had a weird relationship with Avra.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
like, but basically, Malekith is my only friend.
Yeah, pretty much.
Everyone else is just like common.
I mean, Ben's your friend now, but
yeah,
I have a feeling Joser will be your friend, which I don't know why. He's never met you, but
because I'm instrumental in saving. No, I'm just kidding.
I have my reasons. They are justified.
What if he actually wants to kill me? No, I don't know.
Yeah. So do you have
I don't know. Actually,
a skill to help Celadon here?
I don't know. I have town wise.
Town wise, I don't think works because this is technically a city, not a town, right?
Bureaucracy,
you know about smaller settlements.
None of these have anything to do with like
knowing the person. Yeah. All right, sounds good. Let me look at wises. See what the ob would be here. Let's see. Is this? It'd probably be details, ob 3, because it's not uncommon knowledge. It's not like people don't know about this guy. It's just like to get good information on him, you'll have to do ob 3 here. So I'm gonna look at Spiridon's character sheet real quick and see if he has something that could help here. This would be like your group's combined knowledge about the dude.
Maybe Spiridon knows him.
Yeah, Spiridon has campaign history and soldier-wise. You know what? I don't think either of those would be forks in and of themselves. But if Celadon fails this roll, I think I could have Spiridon make a separate roll and be like, did I ever meet this guy on campaign trail? Because like he has a mercenary army and stuff, right? So I'll save him as a possible like backup if you don't know anything about him. Okay, so Celadon is rolling 4 dice against ob 3. Okay, he will spend a fate to reroll that coin flip. And he succeeds.
Sweet.
Very good. He's almost unlocked. He's almost upgraded noble-wise. He just needs one more difficult. Okay, so he does know stuff about Tammuz. I mean, besides what I've already told you, what would you want to know, Alpheus? Like, what you can ask me some questions.
I want to know, like, what his interests are or what is, like, his primary motivator so that I can try to offer him something in that category in order, like if he helps us, I will try to get him something related to that. I just hope it's not something like slaves or something terrible. That's why I want to know, like, what kind of guy is he?
That's a good question. I don't really have a preference myself. A number of things come to mind, right? He could be like a military guy himself, right? And be easily swayed by Spiridon's military prowess. He could be into like weird spiritual stuff, and maybe be like Avra's the way to go here. What do we think is
besides
the most
money, right? Because obviously
Exactly.
he likes money, and we don't have any.
Yep.
I don't care.
Like
maybe if anyone else has a preference, they can chime in. I don't.
Yeah.
I just want to get what I need.
Yeah, and I mean, you succeeded the role, so I think it will be something you'll have access to, right? It's like something that you could use.
Okay.
The two obvious ones would either be, he's a big military buff, or he's into weird spiritual stuff, and Avra would be the ticket.
Let's do that one. I like the weird spiritual stuff.
That makes sense, because Spiridon's reputation in general will help for sure.
Well, and that sounds too easy.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if it's like, oh, I just happen to have a general too, you know?
Yeah, so let's say that this dude is, I don't think he's a priest or anything in the church of the Enchanter twins, right? So Nesanhur and Hopsef are the gods who are worshipped here. I don't think he's a priest in their religion, but he's probably like whatever the closest thing you can get to that while still being a layman, right? Like he's the like a fervent believer. He's there every Sunday, you know. He goes to all the Bible studies, whatever that looks like for this religion. So he's super into that, and he probably has seen like dangerous signs recently, right? Because of what's been happening with the Enchanter twins. So that can be something that can be brought up. And I think, Celadon basically, I don't think Celadon knows about that part of it. But he just says, like, as you ask him questions, like what's something we could use, against it? What is his interests? And he says, well, I guess he's into the spiritual. I know. I was never. I didn't really have an in there with him, which is one of the reasons I didn't try. But I suppose if we put our heads together, I think it was what he says, we could probably come up with something that would interest him along those lines.
Yeah. Perhaps.
And I don't think Alpheus knows that Avra has all this weird spiritual mumbo jumbo stuff happening. So you maybe like catch a glance that he gives Avra, but you don't know like why he would have glanced at Avra in that way. Does Avra speak up at all at this point?
I mean, this conversation is basically just about like what we've been trying to do and failing to do, right?
Yeah.
So I don't feel like she really has any input, because I mean it's mostly been Celadon doing like the
right. So the last thing, in case you missed it, the last thing he said was basically, this dude, his interests, like if we were to look at like what is he interested in and what can we use against him, he's very interested in the spiritual, and he gives so Celadon gives you a glance, right? Because you're the closest thing that everybody has here to to that. Alpheus doesn't know that, but Celadon does, right?
Yeah, I think Avra just asked in what way. That could either be very good or very bad.
Yeah, and Celadon, explains for both you and Alpheus. He is a fervent believer in the Church of the Enchanter twins, Nesanhur and Hopsef. So Avra, as soon as he says those names, you remember that you saw Hopsef die in a vision. So Celadon doesn't seem to know anything about that, unless you told him that you saw that. But that like you got that vision right before all the stuff with the Brass League happened. So I don't know if there was time or context to share that with Celadon, but so yeah, I mean, Avra would know like, oh, this guy probably is having a reaction to like the church here has probably reacting to that in some way. I don't know how, but either way, sounds like something spiritual would get his interest. Whatever you guys would want to try.
Well, I can't. I don't know anything still about that, so I'm probably just like, well, that doesn't help us. I don't even know who these twins are.
And Celadon just chuckles and he says, "Didn't pay attention in doctrine class, eh, Alpheus?" Oh, right. I forgot you're a country bumpkin.
Hey, don't you dare! No,
he's chuckly, right? It's like all in good humor, obviously. But
no, yeah, I'm kidding.
We
didn't all grow up noble.
Yeah,
Celadon.
I think Celadon like turns to Avra at that point because he knows that you wouldn't know anything about what's been happening with Avra. So I think he just looks at you, Avra, and just says, "Well, I don't mean I don't know if I'm suggesting that we give him a, read his palms or give him some sort of spiritual trick or anything, but you seem like the person who could convince him of something spiritual if that's what he needs, proof of something spiritual."
And Alpheus is just like shaking his head. You could tell he's like thinking.
Well, how about this? Celadon says, how about we just go figure out if we can meet the man and ask him, dig into his interests more. And Avra, you can be there just in case we do need something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cool. So let's consider the timeline here. When do we think Joser and Maya show up?
I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Is this Joser and Maya showing up right now, or do we have this attempt to get the meeting with the guy before you guys show up? What would be most interesting to you? Because you guys like made like a faith roll or something, right? To like instant travelers or whatever. Yeah. So I mean, probably up to you guys then when you want to show up.
I feel like if we both show up right now, it's like almost like too many cooks going to like, this meeting. I'm almost more interested in like us like showing up at their house and then like we're there when they get back personally.
Okay.
But if Josh has something in mind, I'm fine with that too. But I just worry that it's like too many. I'd rather have like the big blowout after a potential.
That makes sense.
Meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I'm flexible.
Cool. Sounds good. Well, I'll probably just make a roll for Celadon then to try to set up the meeting in the first place. We'll see how that goes. Probably have to make a circles roll or something here. I suppose he can make a bureaucracy roll too. Where's Celadon? There he is. All right, so Celadon has a bureaucracy of 2. Do you have a better bureaucracy than 2, Alpheus?
Let me see.
That's Celadon's bureaucracy.
Mine is 4.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think Celadon, like he has a bunch of forks and stuff that he's been using to help him with this, but I think he probably looks at you, he's like, from what I remember, you're better at the bureaucracy of the thing than I am. How about I'll give you the contacts to talk to and you try to make this meeting happen.
I think I can do that.
Cool. So he'll help you with his bureaucracy. And then let's see if Spiridon maybe has anything to offer here. Not really. That's hilarious. Spiridon has a 2 in painting. Avra, do you have anything you want to help with here? Take a look at your skill list there. Otherwise, figure out what the ob is. And you can.
Would it help to just say that, like, that as like a doctrine role to say that that Thestios' daughter, like the bearer reader of the Irida kind of thing, is with them? Something like that?
I don't think so. Not like as an automatic thing. I think you could probably actually help with etiquette, Avra.
Okay.
That one, right?
Yeah.
That's probably a simple one to help with. Yeah, because I don't know if because like this guy's interested in his religion. I don't know if he actually knows as much about. Well, once you like introduce him to the whole thing, he'll probably be interested. But I don't know if you know automatically. At least enough for a full die. Let's see, bureaucracy. What do you need to do here? The obs that it lists are locating a bureau or office, filing forms, forming a committee. Yeah, it's probably filing forms, right? It's like you have to go through the proper channels to get the meeting. So that's gonna be an ob 3 bureaucracy, Alpheus. So you're getting a die from Caledon and a die from Avra. But if you have any forks, you can.
Ob 3. This is, what is the role? Like, what is my goal?
So this is bureaucracy to set up a meeting with him.
Okay.
Right? Let's make it ob 4 because it's a really important person.
Can I fork in? No. So my goal is to set up a meeting, but do I have to find a guy, or can I just? Do I already know how to do that?
Yeah.
Okay. Then yeah. So I would like to roll or add. So I have 2 forks or 2 helps.
2 help. Yep.
Yeah, I think etiquette because I have to be familiar with like Nema culture.
Yep.
Read rule of law. Would rule of law apply because I'm trying to
I think
go through the proper
Having
channels?
to navigate bureaucracy, laws would come up. Yep.
So 4 helps.
Yep. 4 dice altogether.
Base ob 4.
Yep.
Sweet.
Hey, needed every dice you had. All right, cool. So, Alpheus works his bureaucratic magic and sets up the meeting. I mean, it's probably the meeting is set up in such a way where it's obvious that you're not considered very important. It's like you have 10 minutes of my time as I walk from this meeting to this other meeting is what you're given. Because it's emphasized he's like a very busy man who has a lot of things to do, and this is a blessing. This is like a favor that we're giving you to even give you this meeting in the first place. So would Alpheus prepare for this meeting in any other particular way besides?
No, I would probably just talk to Spiridon about, maybe ask him what he thinks about the guy and what we should talk about. But I imagine we just go there and I will tell him exactly what we're trying to do. Because I don't want to lie to him.
Yeah, let me roll for Spiridon real quick. I'm gonna have him roll campaign history. With history and soldier wise as forks. To see what he knows about like the guy's mercenary group. Like if he's had any interactions with them in the past. And this will just be graduated. So however many successes he gets will be more information. Oh, whoops. You might be incapacitated. I forgot to get rid of his light wounds. I suppose I should have made health tests for all those. What is the ob for a light wound? 3? To recover? Might as well give him some health tests. I assume he's going to succeed them, but recovery from light wounds 2. Okay, just gonna make a bunch of health tests for him real quick. Success, failure, which doesn't actually matter. I don't even necessarily need the roll for these. He doesn't actually even need routines, so it doesn't matter. Okay. I got rid of those, so now we can do campaign history. Let's do it. All right, a 2. He probably has met, so he knows a little bit about the company, the mercenary company, but he's definitely never met Tammuz before. And it's possible that it's probably probable that the general or commander or whatever of the mercenary company that he met has now retired since and has been replaced by someone else. But he knows enough about the mercenary company that Tammuz owns, to have like a passing knowledge and some information about the way they operate. But yeah, probably nothing extra to give you in terms of like help or anything from that role, but he's not unfamiliar with them. All right, cool. So Alpheus, you guys are like in a waiting room. So I assume this is Ben coming on this mission? I guess because you could just show him like this is the.
Or
new
else,
king
I mean, I would feel like he would be unsafe not.
That's fair. Yeah.
In my line of sight.
Yeah. Okay.
So he's probably with us.
All right. So it's Alpheus, Ben, Avra, Caledon, and Spiridon. Then I assume.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I think all five. So 5 of us.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're all in like a waiting room or whatever, and at one point, a servant comes in. Like you wait for a while, and a servant comes, and I think says, "If you'll hurry with me right away, we have to intercept Lord Tammuz at this corridor in exactly 45 seconds." And then he like hustles you forward, and literally right as you're getting to the intersection of the corridor that you're going down, and you see Tammuz like cross the path, and you guys just you're just ushered to walk in step with him at a brisk pace as you just walk down this corridor. And Tammuz like gives you a side glance. He's surrounded by some of his honor guard, some of his mercenary company, and he just says, yes, Alpheus. That was your name, yes? Well, I mean, you probably gave him your name. Yeah.
Okay, so I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So my call on for Handshaker, how do I use it? Or how would it be used?
So as long as I think the idea is as long as you're obeying the proper etiquette of the situation, like shaking people's hands, doing the bows, whatever that means for the culture, then you can, if you need to use the call on, you can use it.
Which I forget how I'm forgetting how call-ons work for some
reroll
reason.
Your failed dice.
Okay. So can I do I need to roll to know the customary
I think you do
for Nema
right now. As soon as if you succeed on the roll, you won't need to make it in the future, but like to know what it is for the future.
I want to roll that.
Sounds good. Let's see what the proper etiquette would be for this dude. Etiquette. Let's do Ob 3 etiquette roll.
Etiquette. Can I get help from my party of people? Because they might know.
Sure.
If they have etiquette also.
Caledon and Avra have etiquette. I don't think Spiridon does, though.
Well, does Ben? Or would he not count?
I don't think he does. I don't think Ben has like 2 skills. And they're both at like 2.
Okay.
He has 3 skills. He has acting, falsehood, and persuasion. So
he can act Neiman.
He's learning etiquette right now. He's almost learned etiquette. But
all right. Can I fork in bureaucracy? Because I'm in a government meeting?
Sure. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. But all I'm rolling right now is to know what the
handshake is.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the ob is what? 3?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Oof, I definitely know what it is.
You definitely know it. Yep.
Okay, so but what is it? Do I get to pick what it is?
I don't know. We can make it up. Yeah, you can make it up. Someone else can make it up. I can make it up. I'm not entirely sure.
What is their whole deal? They just like money? Can I just like flip them a quarter or something?
Somehow that seems like it would be insulting. Like here you need a quarter.
Or like give him an offering, like give him like something. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be that. It probably does have something to do with their like acknowledging their wealth or something. Well, we can probably just make it a simple like ring kiss, right? Like he has the opulent ring, you're supposed to kiss it.
Okay, so I say so before telling him that's me. I'm Alpheus. I'll kiss his ring and say, and then as I'm standing up, I'll say, Yes, I'm Alpheus, and these are, and then I'll name the people with me.
Mm-hmm. It's like, very well, very well. And you guys are still walking as you're having this conversation.
Okay, I have to figure out how I want to talk to him.
Yep. I think the first thing he says is basically, remember, Alpheus, time is money, so keep your message, your inquiry brief and specific. Get to the point.
I forgot his name. Tammuz.
Tammuz. Yeah, he has dark skin. He's tall and wiry.
Well, does he have a title? I forget what it was.
First citizen.
So I'll say, well, honorable first citizen. Here's what we need. We need an army and your support for Sinia.
He whistles. Now that is a tall order, Alpheus, my friend. It's not just every day you can part with an army, especially in times as dire as ours.
Well, you'll get them back. Hopefully.
Well, I would hope so, but still, the matter of providing the army in the first place is up for question.
Is your army is for sale, correct?
Everything is for sale, Alpheus. But I don't know if you have the deep enough pockets.
I definitely don't. But
at least you're honest.
But I have some. Man, I don't even know what to offer the guy. Perhaps General Spiridon can explain our situation to you, and you can decide what you'd like or not like to do for us.
Yeah, and he takes a glance at Spiridon and like gives the face that lets you know that he recognizes the name and understands the importance of it, right? And says, yes, Honorable General Spiridon, back out of retirement. I've heard many stories about you. Please fill me in on your needs here. If let's say if this conversation doesn't go as you planned, maybe I'll have a job for you. And Spiridon chuckles and he says, "Deep pockets, first citizen. You don't have deep enough pockets." And then
that's good.
Yeah. And then he explains the situation, right? He's like, you may have heard what's happening to Sinia. It's really bad. But untold riches will be yours if you lend us your army, and under my leadership, of course, we're going to succeed. And we'll take back Sinia, and then you can have your share of the treasure, right? And also you'll have an ally, right? Sinia will be forever indebted to the first citizen of Nema. So yeah, he lays that out and then tosses the baton back to you and says, "But I'm just a simple general. I'm sure Alpheus can put it in more convincing terms than I."
Also, there's a weird, wacky witch lady here.
But I still don't really know like the extent. I don't know anything about their, So can I just roll persuasion and see what happens now, or
sure? Yeah, we can play.
Or should I rely on Avra to give me some more help?
It makes sense that Avra could be the backup if this fails, right?
Okay. So I want to roll persuasion, and my goal is to persuade him to help us.
Mm-hmm.
And his incentive would be that Sinia would owe him, like a certain amount, whatever dollar amount he wants. Like Sinia, provided we succeed, Sinia will pay X dollars
and be indebted to Nema forever.
Yeah, he did tell him forever. That's pretty intense. Maybe we grant him like a lease on like a big portion of Sinian land or something for free forever. I feel like I would include that. And
that is a bold promise.
Well, we have to succeed, right?
Yeah. Ben gives you a look when you promise that.
Okay, not that big a piece of land, but
like some
opportunity,
land,
and I would say and you can do business and grow your business. You'll get more opportunities for. Basically, we'll give you a new market for whatever whatever he runs with.
Favorable terms in a new market.
Yeah, and I tell him. I mean, I feel like no, I definitely wouldn't tell him that, because like when I met with Spiridon, I told him, oh yeah, and we have the rightful king.
Mm-hmm.
But am I not supposed to be saying that?
I think at this point it probably makes sense to just say it.
Yeah, so I would throw that in.
I don't know if we're hiding it at this point.
But I'm in front of. But I'm with Avra and all them. I feel like they might think I'm not supposed to do that.
Oh, that's true. Well, no, Avra knows, right?
But does she think other people shouldn't know?
I don't know. How
I
much
never told her that I
it's
wanted
hard
to make
to remember
Ben
what
That
king.
people
would be
know in this
funny
game.
then if that's how she finds out.
Yeah.
No, remember, because we made like a whole thing about like she like sent a letter to Caledon, and Caledon, it went like over Caledon's head that like, oh yeah, you have a sister.
Oh,
You know, like there was that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I think at this point, Avra and Caledon still think that they're going to be king and queen.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, yeah. This is going to cause a whole.
That was the case. But I don't know if Alpheus knows that.
I mean, even I didn't, out of character.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I feel like Alpheus would say it. I don't know why he wouldn't say it.
He would. But
yeah, so
I'm not going to say who it is. I just say, and we have the rightful king of Sinia.
Got it. Okay.
And Ben will think it's Ben, and Caledon will think it's Caledon.
And I would even say, I don't even like think this is Alpheus like intentionally being deceptive, but he doesn't necessarily need to say it out loud. Yeah. And so he wants to protect Ben. So yeah.
Yeah. So I'll throw that in there, and we have the rightful king of Sinia.
Okay.
To put on the throne. So
yeah,
promise him all those things.
Amber just raises her eyebrow at that. Like she doesn't say anything, but she's like,
multiple people. I mean, this is a typical Alpheus conversation. Everyone around him is raising their eyebrow. Like, is that really what he wanted to say, Alpheus?
Okay, and then so I'll promise him all these things, and I'll offer him them, and I will try to follow through if all this works out.
Okay, so the ob for this one is going to be 10.
Just quickly, to be fair, Avra was like first season. The whole thing of trying to get Caledon to marry her was so that he could be the king. Yeah, because you couldn't be the queen.
Yes.
So it probably isn't that specific angle. Isn't probably what Avra is thinking.
That's true. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so I hope that I can get help dice from.
Yes, you can get help from whoever is helping. Yeah, exactly. And so the idea here is like, it's just so high because without any extra, like this is something that Caledon's already tried with all of these people. Alpheus could do it because he's Alpheus, but it's still going to be very difficult.
Yeah, it's like the guy's taking on so much risk.
Yes.
Like, and he doesn't have that much
proof of reward.
Yeah. I have bad credit, essentially, and I'm asking for a big loan.
A massive loan. Yeah.
Okay, so who can I get help from? Everyone in the party, or just Spiridon and maybe
they
Caledon?
All have to talk, but we can like have the characters like add things.
So Spiridon talk. Can Caledon already help because he tried before, or does he need to talk again?
No, I think he'll have to say something now.
Okay.
I'm looking at Spiridon's character sheet real quick to see what he would help with.
Okay. And then hopefully Avra too. Maybe they can offer something else that Alpheus isn't thinking about that might be of value to this guy.
So I'm gonna give you 2 dice from Spiridon for strategy. I think in his explanation, he gave him his plan. Like, I know your army, right? Like I made the roll to know your mercenary company. Here's my exact plan for how we're gonna use it, and it's because I'm good at strategy. You know this is gonna work, right?
Okay.
Storming the beaches of Sinia, and here's the whatever. So you can get 2 dice from Spiridon. It sounded like you wanted Ben to take a back seat in the conversation to not like point out, so he won't offer anything. Caledon will certainly give you something if he can, which I'm sure he can. Let me just find him. Need to reorder these folders. Everybody's moved to different cities now. So Caledon will do 2 dice for persuasion as well, right? He'll bring up, I mean, I don't know if I think he probably assumes that Alpheus is talking about him. like Caledon knew that Ben was taken and that Ben was Maya's son. And so it's fine that Alpheus probably explained at least a little bit about like, oh, Titan took me there, but we got it free. And here's, Ben's with me now because we're going to reunite her.
Oh, yeah, because they didn't really ask where we were, huh?
Yeah. I assume you gave them all that information, right? Like the basics of what happened.
Yeah.
But I think Caledon is still thinking you're referring to him when you say we have the rightful king of Sinia. Like he's like, you're overplaying it. Like that doesn't seem like the right phrase to use for me. But
that's the main reason why Avra would raise her eyebrow at that, because like they're not even officially married yet.
So rightful king. That seems a tad overstated.
Yeah.
But yeah, Caledon will. I don't know if he was going to come right out and say like, oh yeah, I'm going to be that guy. But most of the things he says are probably around that. Like he talks about like how, Sinia will be in good hands once we are in control of the city again. And I promise you, Sinia will have good relations with Nima and with you specifically. Like we can give you like what Alpheus has said is true. We can provide these things to you if you actually give us the support. And he's speaking as if he's going to be the king, but he doesn't do it in his explicit way to make it obvious to everyone in the conversation that that's what's happening.
This is kind of funny because like Caledon still doesn't really want to be king.
Yeah.
But he's like kind of accepted at this point that like maybe that's the best option. But like what could actually end up happening is that like he just ends up like being Ben's advisor on like all the political stuff.
Yeah, I mean it'd be funny if Caledon wants to be the king,
be the figurehead, but still be like
that's true. That's
part
true.
of ruling the kingdom wisely.
Yeah, I just think it would be funny if Caledon finally accepts that he should be king, and then that's when the moment where the rug is swept off from under him.
Right. I mean that's kind of what's happening right now.
Yeah. So you can get 2 dice from his persuasion there. And then Avra, the only thing would be if you wanted to add anything and get some dice to Alpheus.
I don't know what would help at this point.
Does Avra wear like any jewelry related to those gods or whatever?
Or like as a prophetess or whatever?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, I think that she would probably have something.
You have something that would make you obvious as the princess.
Yeah.
The rightful king and queen.
Mm-hmm,
I didn't say queen. So far I have 3 helps. Right?
4.
Oh, 4.
Right, because 2 dice from Spiridon, 2 dice from
Caledon?
They both have skills that are at 5, so that gives you 2 dice. Yeah.
So can I fork in contract-wise, because this is like a deal I'm making?
Yep.
And can I fork in rule of law? Because I want to...
I don't think so. Like, there's obviously laws being talked about here. Is it legal for him to get stuff in Sinia? But like, I don't think it matters enough to get a fork out of it.
Okay. And it's not town-wise because it's actually like country-wise.
Yeah, exactly.
Nation-wise.
Or city-wise, or So town-wise, you have town-wise because of Caruzia, right?
Yeah, so I can get 1 for contract-wise. So I have 5.
Mm-hmm.
And then...
Yeah, was Avra going to add anything?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what I could add.
I can see a few skills here that you can make an argument for, depending on what Avra said.
Yeah, if she doesn't want to say anything, that's fine. I will just figure it out.
Like, I don't know if me saying anything about the Irida would help at all now.
Say that again, Carly.
I don't know if me saying anything about the Irida would help at all.
Yeah, no, that seems like a separate play after this one fails. Yeah. But I mean, you can help with like soothing platitudes or oratory if Avra just says something along the same lines as everybody else.
Yes. What was Thestios's like reputation with Nima? Like in his previous interactions?
That seems like a thing you could roll to make true one way or the other.
Okay.
That sounds like a noble wise test.
Okay.
Because I could see it either way. Thestios could have had a good relationship with Nima.
Yeah. I think either way it would be helpful
to know that.
To know. Yeah.
What do you want to be true? You want him to have a good relationship, obviously.
Yeah. To be like that reputation of the relationship between the two cities will continue.
Yeah, you can make a noble wise test. I don't think you can have fork into anything for that, unfortunately. And I think it's gonna be an op 3 noble wise. Yeah, go for it. Wow, that was a bad roll.
Yeah.
Well, you can mark your difficult test, but you could spend a fate to try to do a 1 in 12 chance. You get a 6 and then another success.
We can just try it with these 5 helps. Because I have a 7 in persuasion.
7. I'm still, even if like I can't help with your roll, I'm still interested to see if I can.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you have a lot of fate too, so
get a good answer. Yeah, exactly. I have 7 fate right now.
Yeah, so at the top you can just do that fate die there, and then 2 remaining ob, 1 remaining dice. Nope. Rolled a 3. All right, cool. Avro, since when did you get 3 dice of cash?
What?
I don't know where you got that from, but you have 3 dice of cash.
I have no idea.
She kept winning falconry contests to earn money to pay back her debt, but then she never actually rolled.
Never had to pay back her debt, yeah. Because
and that guy's probably dead by now. So
yep, yeah. Very fun, very fun. Yeah, so I don't know if this was like a proper linked test. I don't know if this means like he gets an increased ob to the test. I don't know, maybe. Because like it seems like the obvious answer is he didn't have a good relationship with Nima.
Right.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna do it. You just made the ob 11, I think.
Oh
no. I'm gonna have to use both my call-ons.
But you can still offer him a fork if you'd like from your skills, or a help rather.
It
would just depend on what Aver would say.
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, if you don't think Aver would add anything, that's fine.
Yeah, I can't think of anything that she would add.
Okay. Good luck, Alpheus. You're definitely going to need that call on all 2 of them.
Okay, so how many helps do I have now? 6?
I think so. That sounds correct, right? Because you're getting 2 from Spiridon, 2 from Keladon,
1 from contract wise, and 1 from Avra, or 0.
It doesn't sound like Avra's given you any.
Okay, but it's ob 11 now.
Yeah, it's ob 11 now. Yeah.
Okay, I have to. All right, let's.
Are you lying about anything in this?
No.
Okay.
But you then what I have to persona if you want.
What?
You can also do persona as well.
Yeah, I would add some persona to this roll.
Okay. How many can I use?
Up to 3.
Why not?
Yeah, I'll use. Seems 3. Like a pretty important roll. All right, ob 11.
Oh wait, I think I put the persona in the wrong thing.
Yeah, so it should be the
Hold
help
on.
and advantages should
Yeah,
be
sorry.
everything but but persona, and then Arthur
Okay.
should be
5, 3.
Yep.
11.
Yep.
Oh.
All right. So now we're at a 6.
I want to use a call on.
Yeah, I would imagine so. So the one I did actually finalize my ruling about call-ons versus fate, like what the order of operations is there. The only thing that matters is that we do need to know when a 6 re-rolls, it remains the same die it originally was. You're not actually adding new dice to the pool when they re-roll. That's the only thing that matters for this. So basically, if you re-roll a fate and it rolls like a 3, for example, you can't use your call on to reroll that. It doesn't become a failed dice then. It is originally and remains a 6. It's just a 6 that can possibly give you more successes. So it doesn't matter
so
what. So
you're really only rerolling all the rest of them.
Yes. Basically, what I'm saying is, you can do these in any order. We just need to make sure we remember the original dice are.
Okay. So so what would you prefer?
Let's do the call on first.
Okay.
Because those could become 6s, and then you could technically reroll those with fate.
So
right?
Does it matter which one I use, or do they work the same?
They work the same. You can use one or both, and
and do it via the chat because fate automatically rerolls 6s on it. So
okay, so I'm going to use handshaker. And then what I need to type in /R something.
/R space, and you've got, I believe it's 9 spare dice. So 9d6 greater than 4.
Yeah.
Is this right? I'm going to type it with a period.
Yep. Without that 4 at the beginning, but yeah.
Oh, I don't know why I heard 4.
The 4 at the end, but not the 4 at the beginning.
So /R 9 space 96 greater than 4.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're at 10.
I have 4 6s.
And you got 5 6s total now with the original 6 you have.
Okay, so now I could just use my call on and save my fate.
Or use your fate and save your call on, right?
Yeah.
Oh, because I could use the call on again.
I go fate
later.
at this point. Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Okay, so I will use.
Do you want to spend 1 or 2 fate?
Waste your call on, Chad. Waste your call on.
No, I'm going to persuade you later to be nice to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good luck.
Okay, I want to use. How many do I need? Just 1.
So you
use
can
one more success.
Yeah, and that'd be 1 fate for 5 dice or 2 fate for 6 dice.
Oh, I'm only using 2 fate. That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll use 2 fate to roll.
Yep. So put 6 dice and 1 remaining up. Very unlikely you fail this.
Do I do /R 2d6?
Well, you can just do this with the fate die.
Oh,
now.
yeah. Okay, remaining ob 1, 6 dice.
6 dice.
We got him. We got him, boys.
Command post has been captured.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So make sure you're putting the fate that you spent in persuasion. I think that'll matter if you want to shade shift it,
and also mark a difficult test on persuasion if you need it.
Yeah. You're getting up there. It's entirely possible Alfie has Wait,
do I have did I get a test for that? Or
yeah,
do I have
test.
all of them? Did you? Oh, I need to put a 1 there.
You can add another difficult.
Yeah,
test.
another difficult.
Oh, yeah,
nice.
Yeah. You need 1 more challenging and 2 more difficults to upgrade it to an 8.
To get an 8? Oh man.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now what?
Wait, when did you spend your deeds in persuasion?
I don't think you have a deeds.
I don't think you have a deeds. Yeah, that last bubble.
Oh, that's what that
should
means.
Be a 0. Yeah. The middle one is persona, so you'd add 2 more to that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, and 2 more fate, right?
Yep.
Okay, there.
Yeah, almost to 20.
All my fate goes into persuasion.
Yup. He spent 19 fate in persuasion over the course of this game.
That's awesome.
Very fun. Okay, yeah, so you don't even need Avra's whole spiritual mumbo jumbo. I think he probably like, so you get to the end of the walk, right? You've just finished your whole spiel. And for the first time, he stops, right? If you had failed the roll, this would be the moment where he just walks through the door into his next meeting and just doesn't even talk to you anymore, right? But instead, he pauses and he looks at you and he says, "What you're proposing, Alpheus, is an incredibly risky maneuver. The rewards are great, but I have only your word, and the word of a famous general, sure, that the rewards will actually be bequeathed to me by the end of this. High risk, possibly high reward. But I'll tell you what, Alpheus. I haven't become as wealthy as I am without taking bananas risks. Absolutely insane risks. And I'll tell you what. I don't know. Maybe.
What's a banana?
Yeah, exactly. What was he even saying? And I'll tell you what, Alpheus. This risk is the highest one I've taken, but only by a little bit. Only by a little bit. I'm a man who lives on the edge. And you're offering me the tightrope of a lifetime. And so I accept. And he like raises up his ring again for you to kiss it.
Am I supposed to?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, so I do. And then I like, as soon as I'm done, I like look back at Spiridon like with that face like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
We did it.
And he looks at Spiridon himself, the first citizen does, and he says, I will send someone immediately to talk to you about strategy and logistics of my company. We will leave as soon as it is feasible. I imagine there's no time to lose. And Spiridon nods, and yeah, he just walks into his next meeting. And right before he goes into the door and walks into his next meeting, he says, let's see. Try to think of like a. He says, and to think I was about to skip out on this to go to a sewing club of all things. And then he opens the door and he's like, yes, what patterns are we doing today, gentlemen? And then the door swings closed and
I really thought he was going to be like a mean guy, like a titan.
No, yeah. I kind of categorized him immediately as just like a quirky dude.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's, or characterized him rather. I think that's where he's stuck. Cool. I think this is probably the moment where Joser and Maya, right? You guys have shown up already at the apartment that Caledon has been staying in, and you're there when they return. At the very least, it's possible that the guards that are being stationed there right now, with some of his honor guard that remained there, didn't let you in. But at the very least, you're like waiting there for Alpheus, because maybe you explain to them, no, we're Alpheus's friends or whatever, right? Or Caledon's friends, rather.
Caledon's friends.
Yeah.
Avron's friends.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm her sister. Let me in.
Exactly. Exactly. But they haven't let you in yet, and you guys see them like, Maya's arguing with a soldier or something, right? As probably with whatever the honor guard captain is that Spiridon brought. And I think Spiridon has like stayed at the palace to like correspond with the mercenary guys to start the logistics there. So it's Alpheus, Avra, Caledon, and Ben. And some soldiers, who are guarding them on the way there and too. Yeah. So you see this, you see Maya and Joser, and who else is part of your entourage? How many NPCs are we working with?
Mostly Joser's followers.
Well,
Right.
yeah, we don't have most of them. We left most of them behind. It's just Thalia and Sadiq and myself.
Yes. Yep. So you see, Maya, you see the Avra, you see the doctor who healed you of the Cerulean plague, and there's a bodyguard next to Joser and a young woman. But Alpheus, you don't know who any of these people are except for Maya. So yeah, Alpheus, you don't know who any of these people are except for Maya.
Oh, sorry, I had just taken my headset off.
You're fine.
I didn't hear what was happening.
Yeah, I was just it's Maya, Joser, and
a bunch of his followers.
A couple of his followers, yeah.
Are like outside when we're leaving?
They're outside of Caledon's apartment when you return to it. So they were like arguing with the soldiers, like, no, let us in. We should wait inside for Caledon. And that's when you guys show up down, you see them from down the street. You only recognize Maya. You don't recognize the 3 foreigners who are with her.
Okay. So we walk up and, I'm assuming, I don't know if I have to talk to her first. Do I?
Yeah. Does Avra talk first, or I just, the first thing happens.
Ben would come to me first.
Exactly.
Yeah. He Ben runs to you.
I would like to make an etiquette test. I want to see if this bird of Avra's knows how to bite a finger. Do we want to do the same like semi-graduated one I did last time?
Sure, it's fine.
And I yeah. So I'll do that. Etiquette. No helps. We won't say in exile this time. Base obstacle 1 and graduated. No additional. So I still don't know to call you on Thestia, but I do know to hold out the finger to the bird. So yeah, as things go on, Joseph will, he'll put on a glove and approach. He probably goes specifically to Avra and like holds out the finger to the bird.
We see Ben sprint past you to like go hug Maya, right? And then Joseph calmly walks up to Avra, puts the glove on, and
Maya is sobbing, like weeping out loud, like
yeah. We couldn't hear any of that. The mic was cutting it out because it was so loud.
That's how much she's crying.
That's how much she's crying.
Yeah. So Avra, the doctor who healed you from the Cerulean plague walks up to you and holds out his glove to your bird. Do you want to make here's the question. Would Avra have cared to teach Balthazar the etiquette?
I don't think we would have gotten there yet.
Okay, sounds good. So Balthazar just like quirks his head and is like, I don't know what to do here. What do you do, Avra?
I think she's just like, I haven't really gotten to that lesson yet.
So as soon as Maya is like done, she's like petting his head and like oh my gosh, Ben, like I was so worried and all this stuff. She stands up and she points at Alpheus and goes, "Alpheus, you son of a," and then just starts cursing at him.
Yep.
And then she like holds Ben like closer to her and just like clutches him tightly. And like says, don't worry, you're safe now, Ben. It's okay. I'm here.
I feel like Ben would tell her, like, don't worry, Mom, Alpheus kept me safe.
I don't think he's going to say anything in the immediate. I think everyone turns to you right now. Yeah, and whatever you do.
What are they looking at me for? I brought him back safely.
Do you say that?
No, that would be rude because they're crying.
She doesn't pay much attention to you, like she just like says that, and then she kind of like goes back to bed, just like, don't worry, like you're safe now. It's
but okay. Everyone else
then, like,
is staring.
I want to like lead him like back into the apartment. Be like, will you let us in now? And then like shoo away the guards and like.
yeah, I think they do, right. Yeah, so I think Caledon is just like, how is it going in Setkis? Is everything, are we actually doing this?
Things are complicated now. Joser here started a war amongst the gods.
So to clear this up, I don't have to defend myself.
I did no
right?
such thing. I did not. I did not start a war. I finished it. It's different.
It seems like the conversation has moved past it for now, at least.
Yeah. I'm like, all right, cool.
Also, Kettledon, where are your manners?
I'm sorry. I don't even know who you are.
It's not me that you are disrespecting.
What?
Yeah, and I think this is the first time it's actually come up. Joseph's like hand drifts to the dagger, but yeah, he like gestures with his head towards Thalia and her bed.
Oh, yeah, he blinks. And I guess he goes over and does the thing, right? But he's just like, it's like confused why it matters right now. He's like, sure, I'll do it if you want me to. Do you want me to make an etiquette roll for him? I mean, I feel like you probably know what he's doing.
Yeah, he probably knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he does it, but then he's like, I'm sorry, I don't think I know you or any of you except for Maya.
I don't even think we've actually technically met.
Yes, we haven't. And he goes as if to do the bird thing with you, but you don't have a bird on your shoulder, so he just like puts his hand down, and he's like, Avra's told me something about you.
Yeah, they did meet when they were first talking in Malchus' house. They were
yes, true.
Joined in the initial plan.
Yes. Yeah. It
Yeah.
was a very brief introduction, but yes, he technically met you.
Okay, that is true.
It was when they were figuring out the plan to like save Sinia, and Keladon very quickly like left. It was like, okay, I gotta go figure out the logistics of this, but cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, she like kind of bows to Keladon or like nods her head and just says, "It's nice to see you, Keladon." And then like I don't know if like she's like still clutching to Ben, but she'll also like scooch over to Avra and be like, "Avra, it's good to see you." You know, like she's still kind of awkward about it because she's like, "You're my sister," but like we haven't like really bonded at all. And she's like, are you okay? Are you well?
And she kind of thinks through everything that's happened recently, and she's like, it could be worse.
Yeah, Keladon says there is a lot to share, I think, on both sides of this. Let's go ahead and you were going inside. Was the assumption that everybody had already gone inside?
I think we've all shuffled in.
Okay.
But now that like that's all done, I think like Maya's trying to calm herself a little bit, and she's like, "Why is this man not in handcuffs?" And she like looks at Alpheus.
Yeah, she says that.
Yeah.
As you go in, I mean, at that point, it'll be noticeable that Joseph's like lightning scars are glowing lightly yellow.
So Keladon's just like taking glances at you, like, what is going on?
Ignore him. Why is this man not in handcuffs?
What are you saying, Carly?
Has Avra put together from the stuff she's seen from the Irida that Joser is a god?
Yes,
or
I think you do know this.
I still only know him as...
No, because I forgot. You actually saw a vision of him trying to save Hopseth. So I don't think you know the details of it, but you saw that happen. And maybe you're just like, why is this random doctor doing that? But you at least have suspicions that he's more than he looks. I think Avra would just kind of, I don't know what the proper, I don't know if anyone would know what the proper etiquette would be for this, but like, or like how someone in their culture would like actually address a god in person. But that sounds like an etiquette test. Let's do it.
Yeah. I was trying to think of like, it's like, oh, she like bows to him, but like I don't know if that's
Like, let's...
maybe that's whatever she would do for like any royalty that was like at her station or above. She'd probably immediately default to that. But I am interested.
I could see this being an etiquette roll or a doctrine roll, but either way, you're forking one into the other.
Right.
They're both relevant here. So it just depends on whether or not.
Primarily be etiquette.
Okay. Yeah. Let's do So it says like in etiquette here, Ob 4 for the king, Ob 5 for the queen, Ob 6 for the queen mother. So like the more obscure it is, the harder it is, but also the higher up it, like, so both of them are at play here. I think it's going to be an Ob, let's say Ob 5. Like it should be easier than like some obscure position because it's God, but it's also a god. And it probably doesn't happen very often, right? That you would have to do this. Yeah, so let's say Ob 5 etiquette, you can fork in doctrine. And I think that's it, though.
Yeah.
I have to say, of this reunion, I didn't expect so many etiquette tests to be made. We got 2 6s.
And some stuff.
That's a good chance. You could spend 2 fate and reroll 3 dice.
I will do that.
Cool.
The remaining ob is 2?
2. Yep.
And dice is 2, right?
Dice is 3 if you're spending 2 fate.
3.
Yeah. You have 2 6s and then a failed dice.
Nice.
Hey, there you go. You got another 6 too. Yeah, that was good. Awesome. Yeah, so Avra, for whatever reason, you remember the etiquette when you meet a god.
I mean, I probably somehow glean this from the Irida to some respect, right? Like,
sure. I don't know. You tell me, Josh. You probably have a good idea. What would the gods expect from, for proper etiquette?
I think. I think probably it varies for the different gods as to what it is. I think at least for traditionally Hargel's is like you bow but then like raise your head as if you're still gazing up to the sun, like you're below the sun and looking up.
Okay. Yeah, so Avra, you know that's the proper, and this is probably from the Irida then, if you know the specific one for Hagiel, but you succeeded the roll, so I'm fine with that. Yeah, do you do that then?
Yeah. Yeah, I think after the interaction with the bird, she kind of, especially after he starts glowing, like remembers and realizes, like, oh, this is that person.
Yeah.
That like maybe she hadn't quite made the connection before of like these two people are the same, like persons she saw in the vision and the person that healed her were the same person.
A lot has happened too, so
yeah, she puts it together and just like immediately like falls down and bows and looks back up.
And I think this is the first time that Joseph's actually had someone, like he's been hanging out with Ava and all these people who
Maya,
really haven't paid it. Maya and the one who remembers, and all these people who
what do
just
you want me
don't
to do?
really care.
Yeah,
exactly. haven't been doing any kind of obeisance at all, and he kind of just like pauses for a second, and then I think he just puts a hand down on top of Avra's head and says, "Peace, fear not. Take my blessing." And he's just going to immediately, as kind of a reward, try and purge any problems that she's got.
Yeah. Be fertile again.
Yeah. Stop being mad. All these things.
Right.
I think purification is...
Yeah, it's a purification that we're thinking.
Purification is 5. And you're not a believer, so it's not a -1.
Of that too.
Drive out rot and lesser evil spirits.
The issue is this curse was given by a deity.
Yeah, but it wasn't on a specific person. It was just blanket. So
that's true. So I think you can get rid of the barrenness with an Ob 5, but if you want to get rid of the madness, like the touch of the cannibal hatred stuff, that's going to be a higher roll.
Okay. Let's just go with the initial one, and then because I don't actually officially know about the madness yet.
Yeah.
So we'll do that. I'm going to spend 3 personas on this.
Yeah, of course, it's faith. Got to white shade that faith.
Exactly. So no help. 3 Arthur.
I love the idea that like Alpheus or Maya just like gave that accusation to Alpheus, right? Like, why is this man not in handcuffs? And then right as she finished speaking, Avra wasn't paying attention and just bowed to Joser, and then everyone just like looks like, why is what? And there's just a moment of silence as everyone's like, what is happening? Why did she do that?
Okay. Here goes.
There you go.
Done.
Turns out when you have Gray Shade and open ending, it's yep.
And that is a difficult. So, hot
Nice.
link, a bubble.
That's the nice thing about Artha. Doesn't change the difficulty of tests.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Avra, you suddenly feel, I don't know, lighter, cleaner, less oppressed. But you probably don't know exactly what happened.
She's away from
yeah, and then it looks like Carly stepped away. So Maya did just accuse Alpheus or say, why is this man on handcuffs? So I think after there's this moment of like weirdness between Joser and Avra, and everyone's like, what just happened? I think Keladon slowly turns to you, Maya, and just says, what do you mean, why is Alpheus not in handcuffs?
Who do you think got my son kidnapped in the first place?
Python.
Keladon.
If we were going, I mean,
For now, I'm just listening. I want to hear what she has to say.
Do you deny it? And she does Keladon say anything to that?
Yeah, I think Keladon just frowns and looks at Alpheus like for explanation.
Yeah, I think Avra kind of like shakes out of a little like reverent daze and stands up and is like, and got King Thestios killed.
Oh,
yes,
no.
and that too.
Keladon really frowns at this point. He's like, what Avra? Oh, right. No, you were talking about Ophelia. That was the thing you told him about.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So he looks shocked and he's like, okay, there are so many things happening right now. Can someone please explain any of them to me?
Alpheus is a traitor. Why is he not in handcuffs?
First of all, how dare you call me a traitor? All I've ever done is try to help Sinia. Ever. My
Get the
entire
popcorn,
life.
guys. This is all I've wanted for the whole season. Let's go.
And you
all you
accuse
try to
me
do
of
is help
being a
Sinia.
traitor?
You are responsible for the death of the king, and the moment we told you about who my father was, that I was part of the king, guess who you blabbed to? Titan. That's who you blabbed to.
You don't care about Sinia. All you care about is Ben, which is fine because he's your son. But don't pretend like you care about Sinia.
I care about my family. That's who I care about. I care about Malekith. And you don't have a son, so you don't get to make that argument and say that, oh, I'm so high and mighty because I care about all the people. Of course I care about the people of Sinia too, you.
This is all very noisy.
Ask Ben if I care about him. Ask your son if I care about him.
Ben, this man does not care about you.
This is such a like TLC reality show.
Yeah, we suddenly have it. It's all shot like that too. It's like the camera up in the corner.
So it's all you, Ben.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, your father is also guilty of the second charge raised.
You don't know that.
He does because of astrology.
So he knows Malekith wanted Thestios killed too, or he helped me do it. Nobody asked why.
Ben is confused, specifically that like second point, right? Because he didn't know that. Either about Alpheus or his dad, right?
Ben, listen to me. Alpheus poisoned your father against your grandfather. And now he's poisoned you too.
That is not true.
Yeah. I don't think Ben says anything. He's just like,
Where's your evidence? I poisoned Malekith?
Where's my evidence? He's my husband.
First of all, where is Malekith?
Everything. He's back where he should be.
Where he should be? What is that supposed to mean?
He's back leading our people, the people that you abandoned.
Apparently in handcuffs.
That I abandoned?
Yes.
These charges have no basis in reality.
No,
I don't even know you. No, I do.
Do you deny that you are the reason Ben got kidnapped?
Big sigh.
Deny it. And I will let it go.
Ben got kidnapped indirectly due to my actions.
Indirectly?
Yes, yeah,
you told
absolutely.
Titan about our secret that we trusted you. We trusted you. Malekith said we could trust you, and look where it got us.
First of all, hold on, out of character. How did they kidnap him?
So basically, you got captured by Titan, right? And he tortured you for information. You gave up the secret.
I remember that.
And then Titan went in the night and stole into his bedroom, had him by knife point, and Maya came to check up on him, and Titan was like, I'm taking your son, don't do anything. Like, and he revealed at one point Alpheus. I think he tried to lie about it, like who revealed the secret to him. Because he like said, like, this, he's the king. That's great. I'm gonna use him for my plans. And then he stole off with him.
And you were the only one that we had told at that point. So
okay, so I'll say I don't want to lie to her. I kind of do, but I'm not. Because what I really want to say is, where was he when he got kidnapped? Who was caring for him when he got kidnapped?
Home.
Who didn't protect him when he got kidnapped?
You're
Whose
really
house was
trying
he
to
at?
turn this on me?
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, Wash.
You're his mother. Malekith didn't protect him either. I didn't mean for any of this to happen.
You have
but
crossed
you're his
a line.
mother. You care about him so much.
You have crossed a line. We trusted you and you sold us out. That's the bottom line here.
I was about to die.
Are you hearing what this man is saying? You were there. I was scared to death for your life when that man held you at knife point. And I sent a whole caravan to go get you. What did this man do?
And that's
what did I do?
I was going to say, that's when Ben speaks up and he says, he saved me, Mom. Alpheus has been tirelessly working to make sure that Titan didn't have the last word. He's the only reason I've made it this far. Alpheus has done nothing but support me. I don't know what to think about everything that's being said right now, but I know that much at least.
And like she'll like go down to like Ben's level and kind of take a deep breath. Ben, you've always believed in the best in people, and that is what's going to make you a wise person one day. But please trust me on this, honey. This is not a man to be trusted. Yes, maybe he helped you, but it was for his own selfish gain.
I think this is where we make a roll.
What could I possibly gain from that? Your favor? I don't care if you like me.
Yeah.
You're nobody. You're not the
Ben
queen. You have no right to anything.
Did you have something to add, Josh?
As someone who literally wrote the book on being a king in Sinia, I would have my say as well. And he like inclines his head to Ben.
Yeah, he looks at you.
I think at this point, Maya's going to say, Joser, you shut your mouth right now. You wanted my trust. Now is not the time. If you want my full trust right now, you will shut your mouth.
Maya, unfortunately, I cannot do that. Because I would not be loving to you to allow you to have your own way when it is not the truth.
It is the truth, and you know it. You saw it.
I saw many things, Maya. I saw many things that you did not. I have more of an understanding of this situation than you do. And if I have a moment to read the Irida, I would have a full understanding. I would give Ben the tools he needs to actually...
Here you go, God.
Oh, by the way.
I would give Ben the tools he needs to actually make a decision. Not a decision made by others for him. Not by some influence of outside, but that he could make his own analysis of the situation. This is not a matter of us having our sway over the king. If he is to be the rightful king, he needs to make decisions for himself.
Caledon and Avra probably both frown.
Yeah.
That's news.
We have many emotions here, people. But emotions will not rule a kingdom. At least not well.
Yeah, so we have three
emotions are what lead to death and madness.
So there are 3 different beliefs all colliding here. I want to make sure everyone gets their chance to work on their beliefs, right? So let's review this very briefly. So Alpheus, you have convince Maya that I would never try to get Ben hurt. Oh, this is perfect. Actually, this works perfectly. So Alpheus, you need to make a roll towards Maya. Maya and Joser are making rolls towards Ben. Right?
Yeah. Because basically, I would have convinced Ben that, like, you should not let this man back in Sinia. Like, he is not someone to be trusted.
Yeah.
I would add, outside of character, Ben wouldn't even be able to do that if I hadn't done what I've been doing.
Yeah, I think Maya's argument is basically like,
all emotional.
It's too little, too late. Like, he already messed up. He has to pay for that. Like, even if he did help you after the fact, it's because he, like, felt bad or whatever, So the issue is, I'm curious on the order of operations here, because if, like, for example, if Alpheus managed to convince Maya, then Maya would stop trying to convince.
Honestly, though, just being honest, Chad, you haven't said anything to get, like, you basically have just accused me of being a bad mother. So I don't think you could even make a roll at this point. You have to say something else.
No, but I admitted what happened, which is the only point.
Yeah, but not persuading me that, like, you have Ben's best interest in heart. Like, not really.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Like, you haven't offered any, like, convincing, like, in her best interests.
Like, I could have escaped, but I didn't, because I wanted to make sure Ben was okay, and, like, I made sure I always took him with me. Like,
well, you were screaming at me, so
I know, but now she's, like, down on Ben's level and she's a little calmer. But yeah,
okay, yeah, let's do this then. Let's do the role between Maya and Joser first, then, because that might determine the direction of the conversation.
Well, and plus it'll also determine if Ben's going to help him at all.
Exactly. Yes. And technically, help you, right? Because I think that's the way to go, because technically Ben being convinced of one thing or the other doesn't actually change whether or not Maya is convinced of anything. So that's the way to go. So let's do that first. This is, I guess it's just Joser and Maya making, like, opposing roles. I don't think his will matters as much here. It's probably a matter of, let me look real quick.
Joser, like, it depends on what role you want me to make. Because if I'm doing an opposed role to Maya, that's different, because the way that Joser would approach talking to Ben would be rhetoric. He would be like logically explaining the way you need to approach things as a king, without letting emotions get involved and rule the kingdom instead of yourself.
Yeah, so I think the way this is going to work is Ben has a will of 6 because he has his prodigy trait now, right?
Oh my God, what?
Yep. Yeah, because he got the special trait because he'd been,
oh my gosh,
we voted it onto him. So I think this is the way it's going to work. As long as one of you gets a 6, gets a 6 or higher, he'll be convinced of something, right? If both of you get lower than that, he'll decide on, like, a third way, right? He'll be like, I don't trust either of you. But then at that point, if one of you gets higher than a 6, it's just depending on who gets the most successes, right?
Yeah. So me angling for perception versus will doesn't affect it.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Right. I forgot that's how it works.
Yeah.
The issue is
also he doesn't even know Joser. Why would he, like, listen to him?
Yeah.
Like, at least Maya should get an extra dice or something.
No, let's just say I think you're technically still rolling rhetoric, Joser, but let's say you get additional ob penalties because he doesn't know you. So let's just go with, like, the 6 as the base for both of you, because of that, just to make it a little bit simpler. Okay. Yep. So you can add up your forks, do whatever you need to do.
I'm assuming I'm rolling persuasion.
I think so.
Okay, can I fork in acting?
Sure. I mean, you were certainly dramatic during this entire thing.
Well, okay, so is it either acting or drama-wise? Do I get both or one or the other?
Okay, it depends. Is Maya lying about anything that she's saying?
Yes, she lied about Malekith being poisoned against...
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, she was totally right. Playing that up. Like,
then acting is fine.
Because she knows that that's a lie, but, like, she also, like, kind of thinks that in her brain a little bit, like...
But you're lying to yourself as much as you're lying to him in that.
Okay, so I can fork in both of those?
I think you can do acting, yeah, because if you're playing up stuff, then acting can come in, right?
Acting, child rearing.
Yeah. Child rearing can be used. I believe it can be used as like instruction or persuasion.
Conspicuous, possibly, because I'm like making myself very loud.
Yes, yeah. You're trying to outshout Alpheus.
Drama wise.
Drama wise, yep.
I don't think etiquette works here. Falsehood. No. Family secret wise.
Yes.
Family wise.
Yeah.
Soothing platitudes, because like I kind of like went down.
Yeah, you took it down a level and
ugly truth.
Yes.
Okay, that's 9 forks.
Yep. Good luck, Joser.
I was made to persuade my husband and my children of things. Okay, that's literally what I was made for. And just for good measure, I'm also going to put in 1 fate. This
1 persona.
So are you trying to? Yes. What are you trying to convince Ben that
he can't trust
hate
you?
Him?
No, that
can't
he
trust
can't
Alpheus.
trust you.
But why can't I persuade Ben that he should?
Because you have so the thing.
So shouldn't I be trying to persuade Maya first? Or is it...
I think this makes sense as the first thing because Ben needs to make a decision on who he trusts in terms, or who he either way, like because someone has to make the roll first, and I don't think
Maya convinces Ben to not trust me, then if I convince Maya, it doesn't matter because Ben will still not trust me.
I think the thing is, someone has to make the roll first, and whoever makes the roll first is going to be able to have the possibility of shutting out someone else for making a roll. I think it makes the most sense, given how the conversation went, to make this roll with Joser and Maya first.
Okay.
But we are rooting for Joser because because then there's still a chance of Alpheus convincing Maya. I think at that point,
good luck, because the only guy who's going to lead any army to help you is my grandpa. So
that's true. That's true. Alpheus, you could help Joser though with what he's saying right now.
But what is he even saying? I don't even know what he's talking about.
Based on what you've already said.
Stuff.
What I mean is, based on what you've already said, I think you can add your helping dice to Joser.
Okay.
Right.
Well, then, yeah. So figure out how many dice people need to die interrupted.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, how many dice you got, Joser?
Good question. I mean, I have a bunch, but
I'm like, I have my thing all locked and loaded. I'm just like,
yeah.
I'm nervous.
Let's see.
Because, I mean, Chad, listen. The thing is that I don't want your character to be put in handcuffs. My character.
I don't really care. It's my
character.
Arrest Alpheus, and then lose Sinia, and probably die. You'll probably die.
Oh no, we already got the army, and we got you for what we need.
You don't have
a
leader. You're not going to have a leader.
Sure, we will.
Yeah, Spiridon won't agree if Alpheus isn't changed.
Yeah, Spiridon ain't helping.
I'm trying to think.
Joser probably won't either.
Nah, I doubt that.
Because.
Yeah, what do you think, Josh?
Also, who's going to arrest
I'm thinking that, because like, this might actually be hard. I don't know.
Caledon would probably tell.
Joser's probably going to like wax lyrical with it then. In terms of, because like if he had the chance to just talk to Ben one-on-one about kingship, that's different.
Yeah.
Whereas this is going to be more involved because it's
dramatic speech to the room.
Yeah, there's going to be like a dramatic speech, and he's going to like address things where it's like, what kind of country are we setting up an anticipation for? Are we setting up for things where one man's mistakes in the past color him for life? Are we going to say to the father now?
The problem is that I really don't think Maya in this elated state would let you talk that much. I don't know if she would, just being honest. You can try to talk as much as you want. But...
Yeah, the thing is also, though, I don't know if like
if Maya kept constantly shutting down Joser, Avra and Caledon might speak up at that point and be like, "What are you doing, Maya? Just like we need to talk about this. We're not just going to put Alpheus in chains, right?"
Definitely butt in if.
Like I don't think Maya has the power she
God
thinks she has in the room right now, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So even if Maya tries to shut down Joser, I think ultimately the other NPCs in the room are going to side with letting Joser speak.
Okay.
Yeah.
Especially since like obviously like Sinia's falling apart right now, but like currently, as far as everyone knows, like Avra's the closest person to the throne. So, and like she's very confused by the whole like Ben's the future king thing, but she's still in the headspace. That's I was trying to mix headspace and mind frame. She's in the mind frame of like I'm like I still have authority here, and like even if Maya is my sister and has some link to the throne, like I grew up under the throne my entire life, kind of a thing.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we even have a moment where Maya, like Joser starts to try to do this speech and Maya tries to shut him down, and then Avra, either soothing platitudes or oratory or whatever she decides to do here, right, says to Maya, like, no, you need to stop. Like, this is a god we're talking about. Like, you need to listen to him. And we can play that out if we want to, if Maya would have like another response to that, or we can just...
That's fine. I think if Avra pointed out that, I mean, and the more I thought about it, the more, you know, because I did try to shut him down with like, if you want my trust, like you'll shut up now. And then he was like,
he said no.
No, he said no, and that's not going to happen. And I think Maya did kind of bite her tongue at that point.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So what does this look like then, Joser?
Yeah. So Joser continues talking about like, what are we setting up for? Like, and especially, and he'll like bring in the thing with like the father of, myself and Malekith made a terrible mistake. We literally betrayed the father.
Mm. Are you saying I shouldn't have a second chance?
Are you saying that when the father returns, we should be judged for that? Are you saying that your husband's soul is forfeit right now for what we have done?
Yeah, well, that's good.
Should we be the opposite of Indu? Instead of taken to assist the father, should we be banished into the weeping and gnashing of teeth? Like, should we be sent to the farthest reaches? Should we be sent into the depths of ink?
Cool, like it.
Like, is this the way we should follow things? Like, is this the way that, like, I wrote the Irida to make sure that Sinia would have a wise king that would look to the future and see what they would wrought. We have seen the consequences of their actions. We have seen it pass down through the ages, and we have seen now where emotions of madness have taken control, and look where it's brought us.
Did he just say he wrote the Irida?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I know that? That's something that I knew already? Okay. Yeah. Next level of reverence from Avra unlocked.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a reason I want to read it. I want to make sure that we are doing the right thing.
I need to remember how great I was in the past.
Yeah, I was a genius once, so I could be a genius again. Yes.
Cool. Yeah, no, that sounds great.
Yes, it's like if we are looking to have a king, we are looking to have a king who can rule righteously and rule well and is not pushed and pulled along by different people's opinions.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
What are we forking?
Let's see.
So yeah, good call to go oratory, because it's now oratory. 6 dice that you're working with instead of 3 to begin with.
He's probably going to go ugly truth. In fact, hang on, let me get my addition thing again so I can add up all my forks again. Get open the spreadsheet. So yes, ugly truth, suasion, because it's also he was bringing in
Immortal soul.
Yeah, our souls. Soothing platitudes, kind of placate people. Rhetoric of it's actually also trying to convince them that this is the right course of action, not just the best course of action.
Logical.
Persuasion. Again, not going to go falsehood. Etiquette, because he's trying to address each person in the right way.
Yeah, I mean, Joester has made a strict point this entire scene of being very conscious of etiquette. So yeah, go for it.
Yep. Anticipation wise.
Yeah, you were talking about like
this was going to be an argument we're going to have.
Also that, and then also like looking forward to the future when the father comes back, right? Like that whole thing makes sense too.
Does bureaucracy make sense because we're talking about like kingship and?
No, I don't think so. You're not actually navigating any bureaucracy or like that.
How about rule of law? Because we are.
Rule of law makes sense, yeah, because it's like, what does it take to be a good king? Yeah.
Yep. Not ritual. Either history or religious history or both.
Religious history makes sense from what you've said.
Yep. Can I get city-wise? Because we're talking about ruling the city.
Sure.
Oh, come on. That was a stretch.
I think it is a stretch, but I think it makes sense.
Doctrine and astrology.
Did you not fork in falsehood, Maya, by the way?
No, I did.
You did? Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
I wasn't, from the way you had originally said it, I wasn't sure if you had. So. And you're doing astrology. That's what you said?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let's say no city-wise. I don't think that makes sense. I think Maya's, Alyssa's objections are reasonable.
Okay. And then I'll pump my remaining persona into it.
Yep. Hey, Joester can be killed now, guys.
Yep, kill me.
All right. You ready, Josh?
Joester dies. Joester uses a faith roll. Oh, wait, I need to put it into my actual roll.
Yeah.
That one and...
so both of you just said it as ob 6 and then...
well, this is 3 These obstacle 6.
All right, I'm ready to click submit whenever you are.
Excellent. Yep, I am ready.
3,
2, 1.
Oh man!
Whoa!
What?
Whoa!
That's insane. That is insane. Oh my goodness,
man!
Holy cow!
14
I did not expect
successes.
And he has 5
how
6s.
many? What?
Yeah, wait, how did you get 12
Wait, how did you do that?
dice? Oh, I guess Alpheus was helping.
In fact, I probably should have been 13 because Alpheus is probably...
That's only 12 dice.
Can you get 14 successes on 12 dice?
He had 6,
no,
3...
I've got, 21 total dice.
Oh.
Yeah, 21 total dice.
Wait,
it's
6
plus 12 assists.
6 plus 12, and then 3 extra.
Oh, I'm saying 1 and 2. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I was like,
you
what?
had 12 forks?
It collapses them.
Yeah.
That helps?
Well, technically 11 forks and then your help, but it would have been 2 from you because you got persuasion. So
oh my
technically
gosh.
an extra die.
Yeah.
Wow, Maya just didn't even have a chance, did she?
Yeah. No,
I didn't expect that. I feel bad for Maya now. She can arrest me.
No, here's the thing, Chad. This is much better anyway. Really. It really, truly is. But now you have to convince me. Ben's not convinced and he's going to help you. This is probably
this is my chance.
Yeah. This is what Ben says then, right?
So
as Joester finishes his speech,
holding his shoulders, and she's like looking at him like, no, puppy dog guys.
Ben turns to you and have you? Here's a question for you, Joester. Did you explain to him who you are at all? Because Ben didn't know who you were.
Yes. Well, he wouldn't have explained it in so many words, but he would have mentioned when he was mentioning Malekith and himself. in to do with the father. He would have had to kind of explain that to the whole room.
So you just told him that his father's a god?
His father's a god too. Yeah. So I think that's one of the main. That's one of the main things that like really gets him too. Is like, oh yeah, like because you literally said, should my father be thrown into hell? Basically, he's reeling from a lot of this information, but I think he's at least convinced enough. I mean, certainly by 14, right? He says, like very slowly, he says, "Mother, you need to hear Alpheus out. He needs to tell you what he's done, and you need," and he looks up, "you need to listen."
Maya kind of like, like her eyes like start like forming tears because she's just like so angry, but then like she like you can see her face slowly like deflate, and then she like gives like a really reluctant nod.
Ben looks at you, Alpheus, gives you a nod like, I trust you. Like,
Alpheus like looks at Maya like in an apologetic way, just like, and he says, Maya and Ben, I'm sorry. I made a huge mistake. I was being tortured by Titan, and I'm not a strong man physically. I couldn't handle it, and I broke, and I told them who Ben was, and then everything I did after that was to protect Ben and get him back here so that he could become the king of Sinia. Everything. Titan had us. We escaped from him. He chased us. And everything I did, I can't say it any other way than that, was to protect Ben. I would have died to protect Ben. I almost did die to protect Ben multiple times.
That was literally the words Ben was about to say.
And I'm sorry for yelling back at you earlier. I understand. I know like you said, I don't have kids, but I know that your feelings are justified, and I am sorry. But this has all happened in a cliche way for a reason. And we're now at a point where, like, Ben's safe. We have an army. We have leaders in place to help us achieve what we need. And I don't know anything about this guy being a god and Malekith. Did I know Malekith was a god? I don't think I knew that. Or Malekith being a god. He's friends with my father. I don't know what's going on here with that. But all I know is that I care about your son and this kingdom, and I'm sorry for what happened.
Make that roll.
Yep.
Now I have a belief specifically against this. So
yeah, we can make it higher. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what your will is 6, and then you have a belief. Let's make it an op 8, I think, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, so will is help.
Okay.
So I'm rolling persuasion.
I think like you and Ben have already like helped by like.
Yeah, you can probably just add dice without saying anything more. Yeah.
From Joser and Ben.
Yeah, you'll get 2 from me.
2 from Joser, and then 1 from Ben.
I don't think I can fork in anything.
I mean, yeah, you're not lying.
Because that would be the only one if I lied, but I really don't even want to, even if it would help me. So
yep,
I'm not.
Okay. Yeah, you're making it straight. Otherwise,
can I use persona on this, even if I used it earlier?
Yep.
I'm gonna use
3.
2.
Okay. And then you still have your call on and
that's why I'm just gonna use 2. Base op 8.
Mm-hmm.
Oof.
Okay.
Well,
You got 3 successes to make up for. Do you want to do call on again?
Yeah.
So you can roll 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 dice. So /R space 76 greater than 4.
What is that column called? I just wanted to know.
I don't know. Oh, driven
Oh yeah.
is the one you're using now, which I think makes sense.
Oh, okay.
Nice. There you go. That's all you needed.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
that makes sense because driven, I think, has always been, at least for has been for a while now, tied to getting Ben established as king.
Yeah.
Right. That's the thing that's driving you onward. So it makes total sense that you'd be able to use the call in this situation.
Yeah. So I think, Maya looks at Alpheus, looks at Ben, slowly kind of stands up, walks over to you, Alpheus, and she she could see tears still in her eyes, and she punches you in the shoulder and then hugs you and says, "I'm so sorry. I'm so worried about him." And and then she just breaks down again and she says, "I'm so sorry. I just was so angry and I had no one else to be angry at it. Thank you for bringing him back to me and bringing him back as a wiser man."
So Alpheus hugs her back and just says, "It's okay. I'm sorry too." And then
I know you are. I understand that now. Malekith was right to trust you. And he still does, by the way.
I feel like Alpheus would be like, "Where is Malekith?" But did I already ask that earlier in character?
Yeah, but Maya was screaming it. He's back. She just says he's back in Set-Kiss with the rest of our people.
Well, thank you for forgiving me, Maya. I'm glad you and Ben are back together. He needed you. He needs you.
Yeah, Ben is crying at this point too, quietly. And I think he just says, "Dad is a god?" And I think we everyone turns to Joser.
Yeah.
Probably at that point, right? And is this where Joser? I'm thinking where we end is Joser is probably going to give the explanation, but maybe he first goes to the Irida and does his thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He's in a moment I will have all the answers for everyone, and then goes right.
I need to quickly have a squeeze at the Irida, if I may.
Yeah. So Avra, do you give the Irida to Joser then?
She stepped away. Hey.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Carly.
Excellent.
All right, awesome. So what's the role here? What were we thinking?
I mean, I was thinking astrology.
And the idea here is to do what exactly?
I was going to go the Ob 5 one of reading omens and stars and that kind of thing. Of I just wanted to know what's going on. What am I meant to be doing? What has been happening? How are we meant to fix it? The whole schmurl.
Cool. Yeah, that makes sense. Ob 5.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, did that persuasion test count as challenging?
No, it was difficult.
Okay. Sorry for interrupting.
No, you're good. Technically, Maya, I think that persuasion test would count as challenging if you needed one, because it was technically against Joser's 14 at the end of the day.
Oh, okay. I mean, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So astrology with my usual 3 forks. Can I also get read, because I'm reading the Irida?
Yes.
And would it be possible for me to fork in something like religious history and history in terms of, because it's like the entire history of the Irida.
Yeah.
Yep.
Actually, one note, I think it'd actually be a difficult Maya, because technically it's against your dice pool against the ob. So that would be 15 dice against 14, which would be a difficult.
Yeah, that's what you said.
I thought I said challenging.
No,
but, okay.
yeah, you
No,
did say
you
challenging.
said. I
You
heard
did.
you say difficult, so I put.
Well, there you go. That was the right one.
There you
Yeah.
go. Easy. Yep. Okay. So astrology with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going
technically,
to.
you can get I would say you can get a help from Avra, probably, right? Because Avra's right there and can help you if you have any questions. Yeah.
I'm going to pray to open end it. And face obstacle 1. And Joseph, like we see Joseph bow his head and say, I take my tournée, Magil, my words, my will, faltering servant of he who was and will be. And then he just starts leafing through the pages.
Very good.
So yes, we am
Open-ended
successfully
faith.
opening ending astrology. So astrology.
And then you fail the roll and your mind breaks.
I'm go Sag. So thanks with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 helps. Because I don't believe it's okay. 6 helps. I don't have any other to do unless I wanted to deeds it up, which
Oof.
nice.
Yeah, there you go. Didn't even need it. Yeah, so I think what we just see is Joser just like his eyes open, they're glowing, right? As he like has finished reading the Irida, and there's a moment of like divine brilliance where your tattoos are glowing, your eyes are glowing, everything's glowing, and then you just say something along the line. You can decide specifically what, but something along the lines of like I know, or I see it all now, or whatever. I don't know what that would be for you, but
he looks up and he says, "There are fewer mysteries than you think."
Nice. And we hard cut there because I want take some time to like actually think through and present exactly what I want you to have gained from your full knowledge of the Irida now, for next time. So I think we hard cut there, and then we'll do Artha and stuff. All right, Alpheus.
Yes.
Yeah, let's look at your beliefs and stuff.
I did. I succeeded in 1.
Yeah, I think we can probably give you a persona for return him to his mother and father and establish him as king. Like the return him to mother and father part has been completed, right? And now you can focus on the establish him as king part.
Yeah, but so maybe I did all 3 then.
So yeah, persona, and then work with Celadon to raise 1. You did it. Persona. Convince Maya. Yep, persona. Yeah, I think 3 persona. 1 for each of those.
So I need all new beliefs for next time.
Yeah, at the very least, tweaked beliefs.
Yeah.
That first one, all you probably really need to do is
the last
take
part.
off, return him to his mother and father, right? Because that's done. Let's see. I'm going to give you a fate point for always try to attack my way out of trouble. Like, you started off so poorly with Maya there, just blabbing as quickly as you could. And that was fun to see. So you get a fate there. But I'm not sure.
Hey, I did do the second one with Celadon because he said something about, and I was like, we can't all, we didn't all grow up noble or whatever.
Yeah, always treat. Yeah, that was a fun little exchange. I'll give you a fate for that.
And actually, I was thinking about that when he said it. I'm like, no, Alpheus wouldn't be cool with that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I like it. And then I think I want to give you a fate for. Oh, well, take a persona for Catalyst for sure. Yeah. That whole sequence was just that.
Too
right?
powerful. Yeah, I caused a problem.
You are the center of something great and terrible. Earn a persona point each time your actions cause a conflict between 2 powerful personas or organizations. 100%. But then I think I wanted to give you a fate for like you get a fate for either that instinct, impulsive, or stubborn for that sequence with like going after Maya. But I think fate point for handshaker too. It's just it was fun to see Alpheus like go so into his like etiquette role now. I don't think you'll get that every time, but I think you did a good job of remembering that and then making a point of like, what is the thing I need to do and making sure you do it. And yeah, it's good. Cool. I don't think Alpheus earned a deeds today. The moment he actually like dies for Ben or something will be the moment he or like sacrifices something great for Ben would be that. But he's certainly on his way. Like this whole thing has been pretty intense for Alpheus.
I was just thinking about how like a lot of the storyline this season or whatever, I don't even know it's season or whatever, but this like playthrough is because of Alpheus like telling Titan who Ben was. Like
it's true.
Like if that hadn't happened, it would be a totally
none of this would have happened.
Story.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah, season 2 was small but very influential in the large scheme of things. I'm going to give you a fate point for humor, Alpheus, for the whole conversation with Maya. That was hilarious, and the way you guys interacted, very fun to see. Let's see.
What do I get for that fate?
A fate. Yep, I'm going to give you a fate for right skill, right time for bureaucracy. Right, great that you had a good bureaucracy skill and could get that meeting no problem.
Yeah.
And then I'll give you embodiment as well, persona point for the really good and distinctive role playing.
Sweet.
So good haul for Alpheus today.
Yeah, today was fun.
Yeah, I honestly, this has been my favorite session of Death and Madness, I think, in total, like just overall.
Yeah.
Joser?
I did remove a curse on Avra.
You did it, persona.
Ta-da.
You can have babies again, Avra.
Okay.
You convinced Ben Asher. Yep.
Yep, convinced Ben Asher, and I did consult the Irida.
There you go, 3 persona.
Yep. I don't think my instincts cause any big problems.
I don't think so, yeah.
And then
I don't know if any of your traits did anything, but I think you get a fate point for or not a fate point, embodiment for the session for sure. I'm not sure if any of the other extra Arthur things came up for you though.
Yeah.
Joser wasn't funny this time, even though he usually is.
No, he made a comment about Malekith should be in cuffs, but that was fun. But no, I think the rest, I think that's about it for him.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Maya. So let's see. You tried to convince him your methods were the road to kingship, so you can take a fate at least, right? You didn't learn about Nessanhur. We didn't get to that this time. And you again tried to make sure that Alpheus is not welcome in Sinia. So another fate. You're muted, by the way.
Yes, I will have to change that belief for next time.
Yep. And then we ended up switching the causality and not having you guys show up until after the army was already raised. So that fourth one also didn't come up.
Yeah.
So, you can take. Let's see. I don't think you got fate for instincts, but like the stuff that happened according to those would be higher Arthur awards than just fate, I think. Like embodiment stuff. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, I don't know if any of your instincts or traits were the reason you got extra Artha beyond that. But you definitely did get extra Artha according to the other rules. So humor, you can take humor as well, right? Your conversation with Alpheus is just so fun to watch.
That's a fate.
Yeah, that's a fate.
Okay.
And then here's the question. Did Maya earn a deeds point? She has been constantly harping on Alpheus is a traitor. He needs to be locked away forever and never be in Sinia. And I thought it was a very realistic representation of Maya actually forgiving Alpheus in that moment. Like, it could have come off as like fake and like, oh, just what the dice demanded, but Maya being like breaking down and basically like, thank you for keeping him safe. Like, you're totally right. Like, I should have trusted my husband. It was super. It's at least earned embodiment or mold breaker, like, for sure. But the thing is, like, I don't know if there is another, like, Deed. This might be Deed's point worthy because you're now partnering out with Alpheus to save the kingdom. I don't know. What do you guys think? It's a pretty dramatic change for Maya and not in her own best interests, right?
Well, remind me what these points are usually given out for.
Yeah, so Deed's points are either given out for accomplishing goals bigger than you or helping no matter the cost.
Yeah. So the two classic examples from this campaign are when Josa basically took over the entire city and took none of the credit, like didn't take any of the actual fruit from it. And if Alpheus had like gotten heftily wounded in trying to protect Ben, that would have been kind of a thing, because that's like helping no matter the cost kind of thing.
Yeah, so for my argument for this one basically is like, it's such a dramatic character change from what Maya has been constantly harping on, that it at least feels Deed's points worthy. I could probably find the section again and read it. It's certainly the closest Maya's ever gotten to a Deed's point, if anything. Okay, so it says, oops, that's spending Artha. Deed's Artha points are rare and are reserved solely for accomplishing goals larger than a character's personal agenda. To qualify for this reward, you must do something that benefits more than just the character and do it for reasons other than personal gain. Such an accomplishment must come with some cost or sacrifice. I don't think that is a description of what happened, but there's also helping another character accomplish goals that are anathema to your goals. Yeah, you know what? You didn't earn his Deed's point. You just got convinced of something. The moment when Maya sacrifices for Alpheus, that'll be the Deed's point moment.
That's what I was going to say. It doesn't feel like she's actually like accomplishing.
She didn't do anything.
Here.
Yeah,
I didn't
were done to her.
Up to possibly accomplish something.
Yep.
But definitely embodiment and mold breaker.
Yep. I think both of them. Yep. One for the distinctive role playing, and then the fun, like going beyond the bounds of the character and having the traits and instincts and beliefs all conflict each other.
Yeah. I am glad that you did that, Chad, because if you didn't, what Maya was going to do was she was going to start going down the scheming route where she was just going to be like, okay, you know what? I trust you. And then like she was just going,
we're going to get this guy
till you make it. Oh yeah. I'm going to turn the whole city against you. I can't turn my son against you, but I'm going to turn the city against you. But yeah.
I'm glad that Maya has turned to the light.
I mean, it was what she said, right? What she boiled down to, right? She had to be angry at somebody, right?
Yep.
And it was
Alpheus was the obvious person to be angry at.
So.
Oh yeah.
Cool. I love it. All right, Avra. You consulted the Irda for the next step. And you and Joser together will know a lot more about what needs to happen next. So I'm gonna figure that out for next time specifics. So I sort of have to do it off the cuff right now. But you got a persona for that. You assisted Caledon's work in Nima. So you can take persona. And then you didn't actually make a roll or anything against Alpheus at any point. But I mean, everyone else was a much more dynamic character in that scene.
And I think at this point with Abra, like there's definitely going to have to be some kind of discussion about Alpheus's role in her father's death, because that's huge. But I think her, especially after...
Oh man, I should have gotten a help die from you then, because you brought that up. Dang it! Not that it would have mattered, but whatever.
After her interactions with Joser and his whole speech and everything, I think there will have to be a lot more work on this, obviously. Like, it's not just something that's gonna switch in her just from hearing someone else make a role that doesn't even pertain to her in the moment. But but I think she can start to kind of be like, okay, maybe what we need to be focusing on is capturing Titan. And also, like, maybe I don't need to be on the throne. Like, maybe.
Yeah. Not only is there
like-
going to be a discussion about Irida future stuff, there's going to be a lot of discussion about who is this Ben? How is he? Like, who?
Yeah.
What is happening? Yeah.
So is Ben like a demigod or something?
In theory, like it's weird because everybody's like mortals technically,
Mhm.
even though they were god. Like it's kind of weird how the connection is. But
yeah, I actually have a new belief about Abra now. So based on everything that's happened.
very fun. Yeah. So 2 persona, and then I don't know if. I don't really think anything else came up for Avra.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty Avra light today. So yeah, I think just the 2
I
persona.
think, I'd give her a fate for one of those traits of either like formalist or religious, because that was pretty compelling in terms of
the whole you're totally right. Honestly, yeah, take a fate point for one of those, right? Either one is fine. And then honestly, embodiment for that was a great moment of Avra being like, what's the right etiquette for a god? I should do that in this moment. That was great. Yeah, so that means 3 persona and 1 fate in total, I think. Yeah, cool. I think that's where we are. We're definitely, multiple characters have very clear deeds point moments on the horizon. Alpheus and Maya specifically, they have characters that if they die for, proverbially or otherwise, right, will definitely count as deeds points. I'm ready for Alpheus and Maya to lay it all on the line and just like work together.
I go to save Ben,
Sinia.
and then Maya goes to save me.
Yeah, exactly. Alpheus sacrifices himself, and so Maya sacrifices.
Let's not get too ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
Oh man.
All right, cool. Well, I think that's our session for Death and a Madness. Let's have a brief chat after we get off stream and figure out when we might be able to do it next. But otherwise, I think we are out. Thanks for playing, guys. That was a load of fun.
Yeah.
Adios.